everyone, and welcome to the Boopcast, episode 35. We're not 25 minutes late again, what are you talking about? We are your hosts, SheNoob and...
Cory.
And this week we have very special first-time guest on the show, Mr. Liam Catterson.
Hey all!
You all know him,
Yay.
He's an awesome RWBY reactor. We all know Liam. I don't think he needs any introduction whatsoever. But, Liam, if you would like to tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into RWBY and why you started reacting to it.
Okay, so, basically I was in a group chat with a couple of my reactor friends, including Torture Boy and Brianna from Fandom Reactions, and everyone was talking about this show called RWBY, and I believe it was during Volume 4 at the time, and, you know, they were all sharing, like, you know, voice messages, so, you know, nobody who's caught up is spoiled. And I had no idea what was going on, and I was kind of felt left out, so I thought, okay, I'm going to give RWBY a shot. And I made the rookie error of not reacting to all of the trailers like everyone else has done, so yay. And yeah, basically I followed the trend, and you know, it just blew me away, like seeing the very first episode, and I was beginning to click on why everyone was so hyped about it and, you know, enjoyed RWBY. So yeah, that's how it basically started, with a couple of friends, you know, just and the thing is, they were all hoping for me to at least watch it, and lo and behold, here I am today, caught up to Volume 6, Chapter number 7.
Awesome. Yeah, I was one of the people who didn't react to the trailers either, because I have been watching the show since the Red trailer was released, so obviously I just watched it all. I didn't start reacting until Chapter 10 of Volume 3, because I was watching, and everyone had been asking me to react to it, because I've been a RWBY tuber for, 6 years, or something stupid like that, and everyone was asking me...
I was going to say, that's the happy time of RWBY, isn't it?
Yeah.
A very, very happy time.
And everyone was asking me to react to it, and then when Chapter 9 happened, I was like, okay, I need to react to the rest of this volume, because it's probably going to be pretty wild, and it was, so I'm glad that I did. But yeah, Volume 2 and 1 I didn't react to, and I didn't react to the trailers either. But, yeah.
Well, RWBY reacting really wasn't a thing for, like, through the trailers and for at least the first volume. It wasn't until Volume 3 where I really started seeing...
There are people who have reacted to Volumes 1 and 2, but not as they were being released. I don't think anybody was reacting to Volume 1 as it was being released, so... yeah, everybody jumped in either at the end of Volume 2 or the beginning of Volume 3, usually is when everybody started to... Reacting started to become more of a thing, but there's heaps of us now, so it's just insane. Yeah, so awesome. This week we're discussing Chapter 7 of RWBY Volume 6. Please do not discuss in the chat the Chapter 8 teaser that was on the RWBY Rewind, because we have not seen it. I don't know if Liam's seen it.
No. Nope.
We're reactors, we don't watch that. Like, we don't want to see anything before we do our reactions. Yeah, look at Cory doing his mod job. Yeah, so this was an episode. Holy crap. I'm pretty sure this is my favourite episode of RWBY ever. Just going to put that out there. My favourite episode used to be Best Day Ever, but now I'm like, nah, this is my favourite one. And it's like, it's not even because it's got an awesome, like, there is an awesome fight in it, but I'm like, I just loved the second half of the episode so much, and the like, beginning was so, really... very disturbing is the only word I can use to describe it. It was so unexpected and disturbing, and I was like, ooh. But it's a lot of the reason why it's my favourite episode. So, props to RWBY this week. They did a phenomenal job. Holy crap, that fight. And yeah, there's way too much to talk about in this chapter, so we just need to get going. I worked until midnight again last night, so I'm unprepared, but Cory is, so that's fine.
Well, should we do what we usually do and discuss the Rewind and RWBY before we get into the actual episode?
Absolutely, because you're the only one who watched them. I didn't watch them.
True. As I told you, because we were on Skype when I watched it, I didn't really think that the RWBY was kind of anything special. They literally just talked about merch. And, it's merch. You can buy it.
We're all wearing it.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. There wasn't really anything of substance in there. But I found this episode of RWBY Rewind actually kind of frustrating.
I was on Skype with him when he was watching it, and he was like, "Ah! What are you talking about?"
I was just like, "Oh, come on!" There were just some things where I was like, "You guys should know this." Like, they were, or specifically, it was Chad and
Jackie.
I never remember her name. Jackie. I always want to call her Jessica, and that's why I'm like, she's not Jessica. Chad and Jackie were like discussing if Talk could be related to Ilya, and then God Ellie.
That's racist. Just because they're both reptile faunas doesn't automatically mean they're related. Come the hell on. Seriously.
It's because I'm a reptile, isn't it?
It's because I'm scaly, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gosh.
But that was just kind of thing that frustrated me, where I was like, oh, come on. And thankfully Ellie stepped in and said, she's a crocodile. And they were like, oh, duh.
But the thing is,
I was going to say, they don't even have the same accents, because the clock woman, she had that London accent, and yeah, I don't think Ilya has a London accent, so...
And also, Tok is from Anima, and Ilya's from Menagerie. Like, you should break.
No, she's from Solitas.
Oh, well, technically she's from Solitas, yeah. True. But still not Anima. That accent for Tok. Tok's accent was horrendous. Just want to put that out there. Her voice acting was terrible.
I didn't mind it.
I hated it.
I probably didn't mind it because I'm a bit biased, so... Well,
I mean, to me, as the second I heard her speak, it reminded me of every background character in a Fable game ever. And I was like, this is so bad. Like, it reminded me of that, really over-exaggerated bloody British accent. And I was like, this sounds terrible. I have nothing against British accents, let me say that. I mean, Liam's here.
No.
But, yeah, I was like, oh my god, your voice acting is so bad. Can you just, not? It was driving me nuts, the whole scene, because it reminded me of Fable. And I'm like, I've always found the voices in Fable not irritating, but, it was so, it was such a payout to me. So I'm like, that's all I hear when I hear Tok speak.
Well, there's one plus side. Tok's now dead, so...
Well... Yeah, I mean, we're not going to see her again. One thing I do want to say about Tok as well is, first of all, her semblance was really cool. But secondly, a lot of the fandom has been freaking out about how, I wish we get to, I hope we get to find out more about her. I wish we could have seen more of her in this scene. I feel like the fandom, a lot of the time, has a lot of trouble with grasping the concept of throwaway characters. Tok's a throwaway character. We're never, ever, ever going to see her again. She was there purely for this scene.
Yeah, she's dead.
She's dead. She served her purpose completely. Think of her like
I found her...
Khan.
Yeah. I found her interesting, but it is kind of thing where it's I do feel like everything they wanted me to learn about her, I learned in that...
Essentially.
In that scene, and so that was, what it is. And, she had... a character, but not a deeply fleshed out character.
In the grand scheme of the show, she's completely irrelevant.
And it wasn't like she was Maria's, arch nemesis or whatever. She was just someone she happened to bump into, so...
Some random bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially. Alright, I'll stop derailing us now. Anything else in the rewind that I don't... remember if you were saying anything last night about it. Not really, just...
I know, there were some other things in there where it was they just kept referring to Adrian as the baby, and I'm like, come on guys, his name's in the credits.
He has a name. Adrian Cotter Arc. I nearly said Terra Arc. Cotter Arc.
Mm-hmm.
He is so cute. Oh
He
my
is.
goodness. I have a feeling that Ace Dog isn't here right now, but I have a feeling that he's gonna be like so weirded out by the fact that the baby's name is Adrian because that's his name.
Well, you didn't I was on Skype with you and I was talking with you about the episode and you didn't realize his name was Adrian.
No,
and I started talking about Adrian and you were like, what are you on about? And I'm like, the baby.
I get into
His name's Adrian.
this bad habit when I react to RWBY of forgetting to read the credits. Because I'm, like, so distracted by everything I've just seen, and I'm, like, most of the time, this volume especially, I've been freaking out at the end of every episode, so I'm, like, I just don't read the credits, and I need to stop doing that. I need to read the credits.
I mean, I had a hard time picking up everything this
I know, it was a lot to
chapter
take in.
but more specifically because I had to wear an eye patch during it because I've been having head problems, so I missed something that was right in front of me, which was RWBY having Vomit Boy on her skull as a nickname for Jean, which is a nice callback.
Yes.
But yeah, no worries.
The other interesting thing I noticed about that as well is that the picture of Jean on her phone is the same one from the Volume 4 character short, which was interesting as well. Yeah, a couple of nice callbacks there. Excuse me. Yeah, so... Yeah, I mean, I was getting secondhand frustrated listening to you listen to the rewind. Because you're, like, telling me about, like, they're getting all this shit wrong! Like, how don't they know this? I'm like, do they just not... I don't understand how they, like, prepare for the rewind, or if they prepare for it at all. Surely they must prepare for it in some form, but do they just not look at anything online at all before they do it? Like, I know they only get a couple of days, but it usually takes, like, 8 hours before the fandom goes nuts on the internet talking about things. So, I don't understand how they don't see any of it, because I see it and I've never been looking for it. So...
Yeah, like one thing they discussed was talk semblance, and it was like if you had been on social media at all, you would have seen that's all people were talking about was how does her semblance work, and was it actually a good semblance, and all this other stuff.
Yeah,
like it was all over social media. So I'm like, come on, guys.
The fandom seems pretty split on talk semblance. I think it's cool, but like a lot of people are saying like Aura already deflects harm. What is the point of her semblance? Well, it's not deflecting harm. It literally makes her invulnerable for 60 seconds and doesn't seem to affect her aura.
Because like Maria, when she went in for that hit, it like pushed back so hard it flew out of her hand.
Yeah.
Like Aura doesn't do that.
No.
Like it would have just kind of hit her and that was it. It would have been like.
Aura typically
but
absorbs
this launched
damage.
It out of her hand.
Aura absorbs damage. It doesn't knock back. That's not a thing that it does. So, as far as we know. But, yeah, I thought her semblance was cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Definitely, like, I just loved her whole, like, design. Meadster, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Noob Army, and thank you for letting me know my alerts are wrong. That's great. I did already fix them, but I had to reload Streamlabs OBS, so they are wrong again. There we go. Fixed it now. Let me just do that again. Sorry, bear with me. I'm so disorganized today. What else is new?
Oh.
There we go. Yeah, so... Oh my god.
I got it, don't worry.
I got it, it's fine. You didn't even spell spamming right. My god, go back to primary school, fucking idiot. I hate trolls so much. What the heck was I talking about?
Yeah, we were just basically on Talk's semblance.
Yeah, Talk semblance. So yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. Meadster, welcome to the podcast. Yeah, just wow, exactly. Yeah, welcome to Twitch. To be fair, it doesn't happen that often.
It doesn't happen that often.
No, it really doesn't. But oh my gosh, I'm so derailed now. I can't even concentrate. Yeah, Talk semblance was cool. I remember like seeing her.
For the people watching on YouTube, it was a dick in chat.
Too, actually. But they're so badly drawn, I'm like, okay, let's not give that any more attention right now. Yeah, when I saw her in the thumbnail initially, it was a couple days before the episode came out, I think. I remember her teeth were like confusing me, but when I watched the episode, obviously they're metal teeth. There's screws in them. I don't know if they're screwed into her actual teeth or if they're replacing her actual teeth. That's the thing. Because, I don't know.
I think they're replacing her actual teeth.
I think they might be, but I'm like, did all of her teeth fall out? Like, did she drink too much soda, or did she literally get her teeth replaced with metal ones? Because either way,
I think she
that's weird.
It's the tea. It's the tea. It's the British accent. This is my warning. This is why I always tell people coffee over tea. Now you know.
Too much sugar in a tea. Yeah, so, yeah, that was, I thought Talk was really cool. There is a part at the beginning of this episode that I always forget exists. It's one of those parts where you go, oh yeah, that's in this episode. Cinder and Neo at the start. I would have loved for this scene to be in, like, 15 seconds longer, at least. It was so short that I was like, okay, that was, like, yeah, it's nice to check in with them, but I really don't understand why this is here.
Yeah, I mean, because considering the fact that this episode had kind of two themes going on with how shocking the Maria bit was and how heartwarming the stuff at Argus was, it kind of did feel a bit out of place, but you know, it was, like I said, it's still good to kind of check up on Neo and Cinder, so...
Yeah. It was good to check up with them, but I feel like we're probably going to see them again pretty soon, so I don't know that this scene was really that necessary, apart from, like, the confusion factor of starting the episode in the vault, because I was confused.
Yeah, there was...
When we started it in the vault, I was like, why the heck are we down here? It took me a minute to, like, figure out what was going on, but,
You know what was funny? It wasn't the fact that, you know, what's going on in Cinder's head about, you know, oh, you can kill Ruby and all of that. My main thought was, where's Vernell? Like, where's her body? Like, because considering, you know, Raven I don't think she took it to get buried or somewhere else.
No, she left before that, yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean,
did they like
I just got the impression
into the abyss or something? Like, oh look, Vernell's still here.
I just got the impression that that Cinder was living there. That was where Cinder was like keeping her base.
I completely missed that.
I know. I heard.
I'm so sorry.
Eat her body.
Listen, I'm tired. It's early. Okay. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, you know, you've raised a very good point. She wasn't there, so, yeah, I imagine they just tossed her body over the edge. I mean, what else would they do with it? Yeah. Now I just have a very funny mental image of, like, Vernell just tumbling over the side of the abyss.
I'm just saying Neo just whiffing, like, because it would have been days and all of that, and
yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, we know it's been... in Cinder's timeline, we know it's been 7 weeks since the attack on Haven. So Vernell would have been nice and crispy by then. Gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... yeah, this scene was... it was nice to check in with them, but at the same time, other than telling us like, what Cinder was thinking about, like, how she can use Neo, essentially. Yeah, it was... a bit like, okay, well, that was a thing. Now let's get on with the rest of the episode. And I feel like they also put that in there at the beginning to sort of not go straight into the Maria backstories kind of stuff.
But I still feel like that would have been a more appropriate start to the episode, because it started really slow.
Plus, I mean, it faded into black anyways. Like, this might be a minor point, but considering how you're talking about how out of place the Cinder Neo scene was, yeah, it would have been a nice fitting scene, considering we did leave off with Maria's not quite bombshell reveal about her having silver eyes in the past. I thought that would have been a nice little jumping on point, because we all had that thought about, okay, we're going to go into a bit of backstory regarding Maria, so... Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. I agree. It would have been better to just go straight into it. The Cinder Neo scene was very out of place. And I remember when I reacted to it, I was like, that's it? Okay, well, we're getting on with the rest of the episode now. Like, it's forgettable.
One thing I noticed about it was that at the start of the episode, it, like, faded to black for, like, 5 seconds, and then it started, like, cutting to different scenes, and I was like, okay, that was a long pause. And then at the end of it, it did the same thing again, and I was like, what is with all these long pauses? Like,
yeah, I have noticed it this volume, definitely. At the end and start of chapters, there have been really long, like, fades in and out of black. And I'm like, and, like, a lot of lingering audio as well, which is going to make editing this volume into one movie-length feature a nightmare. So thanks for that, Rooster Teeth. So, yeah, the scene at the beginning, it was okay, but it really didn't need to be there. Cinder's sitting there, like, flipping different daggers around in her hand. I'm like, you're so extra. And Cory said this to me yesterday, like, you're such an extra bitch. Like, who does that, Cinder?
I was just going to say, you do feel that sense that they're both going to betray each other. We know that Cinder's just
absolutely.
Yeah, but you don't need Neo to speak to know what's going to go through her head. She is ready to pounce at Cinder at the right opportunity. So, yeah.
I mean, just, if nothing else, it's like, this is the most honest we've ever seen Cinder be. And she's like, I need you to kill RWBY. And I feel like Neo's like, oh, Salem won't let you. Maybe I can cut a deal with Salem. Or something. Like, she's got Roman in her. She's going to be looking for deals.
Yeah, I feel like Neo's probably a lot smarter than... I feel like everybody underestimates her. And I think she's got more up her sleeve than we know about at the moment. Also, she's so freaking short. Like, Cinder is not tall... And she dwarfed Neo in the scene. Like, a shot of them shaking hands, I'm like, oh my god, Neo is tiny. How tall is she again? Is she 4'10"?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think that
she's a small bean.
I mean, I'm 5'1", so, like, and I'm short. Neo's 4 inches shorter than me. And I'm like, wow, no, 3 inches, I can't go. Cinder from RWBY, I made it. You damn cockroach! Yeah, so then we went into the Maria backstory scene, which everybody knew was going to be in here. Thanks very much, Entertainment Weekly.
Yeah.
And I adored this scene. It was creepy and spooky and had a really, really good atmosphere to it. The shot of Maria, the wide shot of Maria walking across the bridge with, like, her cape and all of that, I remember in my reaction going, oh, this shot reminds me of Journey, the game on the PlayStation 4. It just, like, I got flashbacks to Journey from that shot, because Journey's a very visual, atmospheric kind of game, and her design, she kind of reminded me of the character in that. So that was just, like, weird. I just got drawn back to Journey in the middle of the scene. That Nevermore was freaking huge. Holy crap. That was an enormous Nevermore. I'm like, that was way bigger than the Nevermore they fought in Volume 1. It was fucking enormous. That's the thing. We don't know how big Grimm can grow. Do they just keep growing until they eventually envelop the size of the world? Or do they get to a certain point and stop?
It kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you played this, but Horizon Zero Dawn. You have those, smaller birds, and then you have this big, gigantic bird, and it's like, oh no. So, yeah, it's kind of reminding me of that when you put it like that.
Yeah, it was massive. I was like, when I saw it, I was like, holy crap, that's a big Nevermore. So, Maria's weapons are awesome. I know, Cory, what you said when you saw her pull out the first scythe, you were like, another scythe wielder, like...
Yeah.
But
they explained it. I'm fine with the explanation they gave us,
Yeah. But, I mean, she's called the Grim Reaper, so I was expecting a weapon like what she had, and the fact that they were dual scythes was really cool. It wasn't like one big, massive, two-hander, bloody friggin' thing. It was two sort of smaller ones. And we're also right about the gravity dust in the weapons. So the way she used the gravity dust, though, was really cool, and I didn't expect that.
Have you guys seen... Oh, God, what's... The guy who does the, like, fan trailers for RWBY, he has, like, his own...
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I haven't seen them in ages, but he had, like, an original character he did a trailer for, who, like, her semblance was, like, push and pull glyphs, like, they pulled together or pushed apart and stuff, and the way she used her gravity dust reminded me of that trailer.
Thank you, Cinderfall, for reminding me that the SFX are still on when they should not be. That just went off in my ears. Yeah, so... Yeah, the gravity dust was really cool, the way that she used it, and how, like, they sort of, the weapons drew towards each other, being pulled by the gravity dust. That was really cool. She took down the Nevermore like a badass, too, so, and seeing her use her silver eyes was interesting, because she's somebody who had them her whole life. Don't know how long she would have been training with them, but she was a huntress, so presumably she went to a Huntsman Academy. She went to combat school, but we don't know at what point she started to train with the silver eyes, or how old she is even in the scene. And yeah, it was really cool to see her just sort of like use them like it was nothing. And see the effect that they had on the Nevermore.
The thing I made in my reaction was, because I was, kind of worried that that she has used silver eyes a lot, to the point where it's probably going to burn out or something like that, considering how powerful they are. And, considering how RWBY has used them in a time of panic all of the time, and then, like you said, Maria's just used them as if it was like a finisher, like a finish it, like Mortal Kombat. I was, making points, thinking, I wonder how many times, like, she's used that, like, considering, it's so weird seeing someone else other than RWBY using silver eyes. So, like you said, her using it, like it was just a finishing move. You just wonder, like, how many times has she done this to other Grimm out there, to just finish them off for good?
Yeah. Well, exactly. We don't know. Like, there's a lot about Maria that we don't know in this scene, in this point in time. So, yeah, it was just really cool to see her in action, though. I wish we could have seen more. I don't know that we'll get to see more of the Grim Reaper in the future. I don't see why we would. Which is...
I mean, she's a legend.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes, stuff that's legend, like events or people, sometimes it's best to leave their stories unknown and mystery to, I guess, preserve their status, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
I've noticed Grim Reapers having a size is pretty normal to me. Yeah. Yeah, so... What's really interesting to me is the effect that her silver eyes had on the Nevermore. It turned it to stone, which is interesting. Because we know that when RWBY used the silver eyes for the first time, she apparently froze the dragon. I don't know if that's, like, meant to be taken as literally as, like, the dragon is frozen on top of the CCT. Not the CCT, on top of the beacon tower. But if that's the case, I'm wondering if the silver eyes don't have something to do with elemental magic in some way. Because if that is the case, if RWBY was able to freeze the dragon, but Maria's silver eyes turned it Nevermore to stone, is it possible that there are other elements involved as well? Is what I'm wondering.
Well, I was just wondering if maybe it had to do more with, like, the specific emotion they channeled to do it.
It could be.
Because, like, when RWBY used hers the first time, she was coming from a place of, like, deep sadness.
Yeah.
So, like, I could see then, like, cold and ice being used there, whereas Maria's was a little bit more, like, I mean, like we said, she was almost, like, stoic, kind of, and it was more just... like a stop kind of a thing. So turn her to stone there. When we saw Ruby use it in episode 6, she did seem to be like channeling more positive emotions, so it did come out like more kind of light and maybe fire.
I wonder if I'm reading
like
too much into it.
Eviscerated those ones.
No, I can kind of see it because I don't know. My interpretation would be stone, stop moving, and going back to the sadness. It's like that cold. It's like that coldness and all of that. And like you said, there's all of the times Ruby has utilized or tried to utilize. Going back to Volume 5, it's always been in a state of shock, sorrow, and that sadness. And Maria's circumstance in this case was different. So it
was just like a reflex to Maria. She's just using it out of instinct. So the other thing I'm wondering about is Tok and her crew. Were they hiding behind rocks when the Silver Eyes thing went off? Because they should have been obliterated if they were anywhere within that general vicinity.
Well, the Silver Eyes don't affect people, though.
It affected Cinder.
Because Cinder has a Grim arm.
No, Cory, she lost her arm because of Ruby's Silver Eyes.
Oh, but people are still convinced, though, that the reason that happened was because of the glove with the Grim.
That's the wrong arm. And that's why that happened. It's the wrong arm.
Unless it's got something to do with Maria's control, because, of course, Ruby has no idea, no experience about Silver Eyes, and going back to Maria, Maria would have had, obviously with the way she dealt with the Nevermore, she would have had knowledge about how to use Silver Eyes, I guess. So maybe it's the way she utilized it rather than, Ruby's lack of experience.
It's going back to the Cinder glove thing. Cinder wore that glove on her right arm. Her Grim arm is her left.
Yeah. And her Grim arm's her left.
I don't know where that's coming from. Like, people who don't pay attention, obviously. Pishin, thank you for the host. Ruby Silver Eyes took Cinder's arm off somehow. I don't really understand how that's possible, but I feel like it does definitely affect people. And she was a maiden.
Or maybe it's just an effect of the maidens. Because when she used her Silver Eyes in the at the end of Volume 5, the only person who was affected was Cinder.
I mean, she didn't use them to their full extent either, though. That's the thing. And she was knocked out.
Yeah, because she was interrupted.
But still, you think that if she hadn't been stopped there, she would have just killed everyone in the room?
I don't know, because I don't know if, they can control who's affected by the Silver Eyes. Is it a targeted thing? Is it just a general area of effect? Because she seemed to be able to target the apathy with it. And Blake was in front of her when she did that. So.
Blake fell next to her.
Well... Yeah.
Because they were arm in arm, and then they both got hit again, and they fell.
The first time she used it, Blake was in front of her, though.
True, but that did only push him back.
I mean, I was going to say it could also, with how it affected Cinder, it could also be the circumstance. I mean, she just literally saw Cinder kill one of her friends, so her emotions might be in, in such a way that she will have no idea how to target it compared to the apathy and how Blake wasn't affected. So, I have no idea. We're on in a bit of a rut on how the bandits and Blake etc. weren't affected, but I'm guessing it's more to do with targeting. And going back to Volume 3. She was just in a state of shock, with no idea on how to process this. So,
and there's
plus the other thing that could happen is they just didn't have the rules for Silver Eyes down when they.
It's true.
Had it affect Cinder, but I still think there's maybe more to Cinder that's grim than we think, because Salem knows she's alive, and I don't know how she would know that. unless maybe there was like a piece of some kind of grim inside her or something that she can sense, because we really don't know anything about how Cinder came to Salem. And like, did Salem save her? Did, you know, like, what happened there?
I still feel like Salem used the Seagrim to find out where Cinder was, or if she was even alive. But having said all of this, there's a reason Maria didn't use her silver eyes on the people that attacked her, and whether it's like she knew it would be ineffective, or she just didn't have an opening, which she kind of really didn't, or maybe she thought she could just beat them without it. But yeah, there's definitely a reason she didn't just, you know, obliterate them where they stood.
It does seem like it'd be a very concentrated thing. Like, that's the reason that Emerald was able to deal with Ruby when she used hers, is because Ruby was like, and she was like, oh, well, you're distracted.
Yeah. We could use that context, TBH, yeah. So, yeah, I want to talk about this fight scene, because the fight scene was incredible. But yeah, Top Semblance is really cool. I loved the sound design in this fight scene of like the ticking constantly in the background. I didn't notice it until the third time I watched the episode, that there was ticking the whole time. Because I was way too focused on the actual fight when I was watching it the first couple of times. This fight was incredibly animated. One of the best animated fights in the entire show. And that's the second time I said that this volume, so they're doing very, very well. I can't even remember what the other one was. Oh, Neo versus Cinder. That's what it
Neo
was.
and Cinder.
Yes.
Amazing, amazing, amazing animation on this fight. I love Maria's fighting style. It's really, like, different from what we've seen in RWBY so far. She's got a very unique style to her.
She's, like, people keep calling her, like, a Jedi, and after seeing her fight, I'm like, I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is almost very Jedi-esque, because she kind of, like, gave me, like, Jet Li kind of vibes as well, which is interesting. I love the way that she utilized her sights, and the sort of like flipping kicks that she was doing was just amazing.
I was gonna make a little comment on that as well, because it was interesting how you brought up like the Jedi talk, and I was thinking when they going further in, we'll get back. I'm sure we'll get back to the fighting, because it was really, really awesome. But when she was when they were talking about how does a legend disappear, and I'm just thinking, well, just ask Luke Skywalker. So yeah, I was thinking after that failure, it kind of did reminisce me a bit of Luke, about how he, you know, cut himself off, and how Maria seemed to do that once, you know, she suffered that traumatic injury. So yeah.
I mean, she lost her eyes. That's, like, traumatic. And, of course, being a silver-eyed warrior, it would have felt to her like her life was over, almost. Because her silver eyes were not what made her who she was, but what made her what she was. So, yeah, I can totally understand why Maria quit after that. I'm like, yeah, you're okay, you get a pass. But she's very hard on herself for it as well.
Yeah.
Because she, you know, she says a huntress is supposed to protect people to the bitter end. And then when she lost her eyes, she just threw in the towel. But I'm like, that's understandable, Maria. Don't be so hard on yourself. Yeah, so... And I liked as well, going further in, how when Maria talks about how some of them are stronger already, and very pointedly looks at Yang, because Yang is...
Yeah.
Yang
literally
is
everyone
amputee.
in the scene looks at Yang.
Yang is an amputee. She has lost an arm, and she did not give up once she lost her arm.
They went through the exact same situation.
I think Maria admires her for that. Admires her strength to carry on and keep fighting, regardless of this traumatic injury that she suffered. Yeah, so, I mean, it wasn't her eyes, but, you know, yeah.
I mean, it was still one of the things she fights with.
Yes, well, exactly. Going back to the fight scene, just, I cannot sing the praises of the animation enough. It's so good. It's just so good. I couldn't pick any flaws with it. And
my favorite thing is, this is a thing that happens sometimes in fights that people don't, like, actually keep consistency with sometimes. But, like, Talk said at the start of the fight, these are the last 60 seconds of your life.
Oh.
And then exactly 60 seconds later, the timer goes off.
Yeah, we counted. It was exactly 60 seconds, which is really nice. It, like, a lot of the time when there's, like, a timer in, like, any movies, TV shows, whatever, the time, it lives in, like, it's almost like time is suspended.
Like the first 45 seconds go really fast, and the last 15 somehow last 2 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's a bomb about to go off, and the last 5 seconds take actually 20, you know? And it's like...
I know how exactly you feel. I mean, I would always, like, if that was the situation or any other kind of time related, I would always try to I would always envision trying to make it last exactly the time, because it you know, it feels a bit inconsistent, doesn't it, if it's like supposed like 60 seconds and it lasts 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
So exaggerating, but yeah, you get the idea.
Yeah. And it was nice that they made sure to maintain that amount of time. And of course, RWBY is unique in that the fights are happening in sort of like a real-time environment, whereas in a lot of movies and TV shows, real time is subjective when it comes to doing a choreographed fight scene. Yeah, it felt very real time, and the fact that it was exactly 60 seconds was nice. Yeah, so the fight was really good. Obviously it fell apart when, actually, I want to talk about Maria's, aura, because it went down so quickly. She took a few hits and got knocked on the floor, and that was it. Her aura was done. And I was like, why was her aura either so depleted, or does she just not have a lot of aura, or, like, did the silver eyes affect her aura? Like, her aura went down so fast. I missed it the first time. I was like, I didn't even see her aura go down at all.
Yeah.
I when I saw it the first time, I don't think I recognized it as her aura going down. I just thought it was just like a hit that happened. And I was like, oh, her aura. We can see it. But I still think a lot of it has to do with the one hit she took from the Nevermore. And also maybe has to do with the fact of when she uses the gravity dust in her things. Like, you need to use aura to do that, following some of the rules, but then after her aura goes down, she still, like, you know, twirls her things around, so I don't know. Yeah. Trying to find explanations, and I'm like, well...
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, we don't know if people are still capable of using their aura once it has been broken. I don't think that's the case. Have we ever seen Weiss use a glyph after her aura's gone down? I don't think we have.
I don't think so.
No. So I was just wondering.
Granted, haven't we only seen her aura go down like twice?
Once, I think. Only the once.
The white trailer doesn't count, though.
The white trailer does not count. There was no aura there whatsoever. That aura wasn't a thing yet in the show. So, the white trailer does not count. And again, we forget that aura is a thing that has to be activated. It's not something that's on constantly. So in the case of the white trailer, it could be argued that Weiss didn't have time to activate her aura. But again, aura didn't exist when the white trailer was made.
Fishin said Yang used her semblance in the Volume 5 character short after her aura was depleted.
Was her aura depleted? I'm not convinced that it was.
Yeah, because her aura went down when the Grim bit her.
Yeah.
I'm still not convinced that it was.
It made the, like, shatter effect and sound and
but
everything.
I'm still not convinced. I just, like... the Yang character short to me was a little weird with, like, Yang's semblance and that. Again, Yang's semblance is it's kind of a weird one, because it's, like, sort of... She has to take damage for it to work. So...
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
I've always felt like her semblance is almost like there are 2 cups of water, and one's her aura and one's her semblance, and as her aura goes down, it goes into the semblance cup.
That's a pretty good way of describing it,
and then as her aura comes up, it goes into semblance.
Yeah. So I feel like, Yang's kind of an exception because of the way her semblance works. Bronwyn blood boost, good gracious. Yeah, so in the case of Yang, like, she has to take hits to for her semblance to even sort of like build up over time. So, yeah, getting back on topic because we're derailing ourselves again.
We always derail.
We always derail. The chat's derailing us. Stop.
Damn it, chat.
Damn it, chat. It looked like a flicker, which is apparently a different thing. Yeah, no, Maria's aura definitely did go down. I was just surprised that it went down so easy. Her putting the two sides together was cool, and Cory was like, it gave him Darth Maul vibes, and I agree. I didn't say it when I was reacting, but I thought it. I was like, ooh, Darth Maul. Again, I feel like...
Even more proof she's a Jedi.
Yeah, right. I feel like all of this was very deliberate from RWBY, of them being like, ha ha ha, Darth Maul, lol.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time, because they've made like a bunch of Star Wars references in Red vs. Blue, why not RWBY?
Reference Kings, Rooster Teeth. Yeah, so obviously it all went wrong for her when Tok managed to bite all the way through her weapon, which clearly Maria wasn't expecting. So that like took her off guard, and that's why Tok was able to break her mask and then cut her eyes out.
I just got a comment. I love that sequence, though. I mean, as heartbreaking as it was, as well as the scream, I just love that sequence of Tok just managing to break to basically defeat Maria, and it was just really, really. I don't know. It just felt really, really beautiful watching it.
Yeah, in a weird way.
I know exactly how you feel.
Yeah, I agree. I do like that we only got that one shot of seeing Maria as she was, like seeing her silver eyes and seeing what she looked like under the mask. And we only got the one shot. Yeah, she was pretty. She really reminds me of Amber, actually, the Fall Maiden that preceded Cinder. Yeah, it was really nice that we only got that one shot to see Maria with her silver eyes. It was all we needed. And then they were gone.
It was very
she's
short.
Under the mask the whole time. We see the eyes for one shot, and they're gone. And it was like, it was very effective the way that they did it. And like, it was very shocking and very disturbing to me, because it was like, Tok was just like, slash, and that was it. And like, suddenly, she's blind. And for a silver-eyed warrior, it's a big deal probably to lose her eyes. But her screaming, oh my god, I got shivers the entire scene. I was like, oh my god, I'm so genuinely disturbed by this scene.
That was this. It was just really, really impressive. Like of a scream. Like it didn't sound phony. It sounded so legit that it was.
It sounded like somebody who just got their eyes cut out of their skull, and that's like it's not easy to do.
Really interesting fact that because the voice actress for Maria was on this episode of Rewind, she had her daughter a week after recording that scream. Like, she was really pregnant when she recorded that.
Oh dear.
Oh.
Could have been a baby
so
delivery in the booth. Oh god. I didn't even know that she was pregnant, so there you go. That's an interesting tidbit. Well, she's not now, obviously. This was recorded months ago, but yeah, so that's really interesting. Yeah, she did a phenomenal job voicing Maria in this scene, and like, I always feel bad for voice actors who like have a character for one scene and that's it. I hope we get to see more of the Grim Reaper at a different point in the show, but I sincerely doubt it.
Yeah.
So I just don't know what more they could do. But at the same time, she got to be involved, and that's really cool. And obviously, it's a crap thing to do a character for one scene, and that's it. But she did such a phenomenal job, so props to her, definitely. Yeah, that scream just, I was like, I remember sitting there when I was reacting to it, my hand over my mouth, like, oh my god, I'm so genuinely disturbed by what's happening right now. Like, I couldn't even say anything, because I was like, oh, I don't like this. But that's exactly the effect that they want the scene to have, so,
yeah.
yeah, it was really, really well done. Cory pointed out something about, like, when Tox slashed her eyes out, she got a slash across the bridge of her nose. But we can't actually see a scar because Maria's current, like, mechanical eyes actually cover her nose. So I wonder if there is a scar there or not. But there probably would be, I would say.
Yeah.
But just something about an image of a person with blood dripping out of their eyes is really disturbing to me, and I think it's because of all the horror games I've played. And that's like a very recurring like theme with like blood dripping out of the eyes, and I'm like, ugh, I don't like it. It's creepy and I hate it.
Well, there was something. Oh no, it was Metal Gear Rising, wasn't it? It kind of reminded me of that actually. Now that you think about it, because I know. The character you play had one of his eyes slashed, so you could literally see that. Although his agony wasn't as tremendous as Maria's, but then again, I think it was only just the one eye. But still, it kind of reminds me of that now. Like,
yeah, I know the bit that you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, it's really disturbing. I feel like because a lot of us really, really value our vision, those of us who have our eyes, and the thought of your eyes getting slashed out of your skull is disturbing for anyone, because it's like...
It was so quick.
It was
like,
just,
and
yeah,
that was the thing
like
about the like slice on the...
Yeah.
The slice on the nose that really like got to me was it's like, this was like just through.
Yeah.
Like, it just... through. Ugh.
I went back and frame by framed that shot of Tox slashing out her eyes, of course, because I'm a sadist apparently. And
apparently.
But what I was looking for was there was actually blood gushed out of her eyes in that shot when her eyes were slashed out, and I was like. Also, the reason the scene disturbed me so much was because I was like, this is incredibly violent for RWBY. Like, RWBY's typically not violent. There's a lot of fighting, but it's very stylized. And it's, usually people don't get killed. People get maimed, sure, but, I mean, they're fine.
I mean, I think I was going to say, I think RWBY have upped the ante a bit this season, because we've seen decomposed bodies. We've had, I think, profanity twice, whereas I think the only other time I can recall profanity being used is in Volume 4 when Tyrion... not even a strong word, it was bitch as well, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yang so also swore in Volume 5.
Bastard,
oh, yeah. So I think they've kind of upped the ante a bit in terms of, the violence and the adult themes in this, just to show
especially
that...
since they're not on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can get away with a lot more now that they're not on YouTube. They don't have to rate themselves anymore, so...
Chapter 7 would be demonetized straight away.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, did you know that the RWBY they released about the like designing Jin got demonetized because of Jin?
Absolutely ridiculous. Like, just ridiculous. I can't even fathom. YouTube's a mess. YouTube's a fucking hot mess. Yeah. What was I going to say? Something. I can't remember now, but yeah,
eyes gushing.
RWBY's growing up, definitely. The show is growing up a lot, and it's maturing, and a scene like this is very out of character for RWBY, but they just do them so well that it doesn't feel out of character. But it was very disturbing because it was so violent and so quick, and it was just like...
But it's very fitting, though, because, like, also then you cut to once Maria finishes telling her story, and you see the horror on everyone's face.
Yeah.
Because, like, and it's just, like, a reminder that, like, hey, girls, it's scary out there.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like, again, the horror on all of their faces is, like, because everybody can agree that having your eyes slashed out would be a horrible thing. And, like, it's something that we can all sort of empathize with, even though most people have never experienced it. Like, and when I say most people, 95% of people probably have never had their eyes slashed out. So... like, but it's something we can all empathize with, because we, like, the very thought of it is, like, oh, makes us all feel a bit weird.
I'm just remembering an episode of Orphan Black where someone actually cut out their own eye, and it was like Oh my goodness! I was literally like wanting to turn away and all of that. And like
for some reason, it's such a disturbing thing to humans.
Yes. I
feel the same way about people's
really
tongues getting cut out. I cannot watch people's tongues get cut out. I'm like, oh god, it makes my tongue feel weird. I don't like it. Like, and that's again, like, I feel like it's because it's one of your senses being taken away.
Yeah.
And like the idea of losing one of your senses. Like, I had an ear infection last week. I couldn't hear shit, and it's like so. And it was one ear, and like the fact that I was deaf in one ear was so inconvenient to me because like I just couldn't hear very well, and I'm like, oh my god, I just get it. I'm like, if I ever lost my hearing, I would be so.
It's the same with cold. It's the same with the cold, isn't it? Like whenever you can't, sniff properly and you've got that blocky feeling, it's like, oh my god, I miss, normal breathing so much that this is painful. So
yeah, I think we all empathize with it because it is one of the main senses, and your sense of sight is a thing that's very difficult to live without. So I give a lot of props to Maria for, well, first of all, getting herself out of wherever the heck she was after losing her eyes. Like, how did she get back to civilization without being able to see? And being in excruciating pain and gushing blood from her eyes. It's a wonder she didn't die out there. So,
what about the two other bandits as well? Like, that was Wave Talk as well. Like,
there were three of them.
There were three. Yeah,
there was. There was a few others. Like, what happened to them?
Maria killed one of them. I'm pretty sure there was a shot where she actually killed one of them.
No, because I looked at that again, and it looked like she just like hit him with like the back end of her scythe.
I don't know. It kind of looked like she slashed him to me, but I don't know. Yeah. That's a good question though. Like, if they're just knocked out, they would get up eventually. So, yeah, I'm not going to question it too much because obviously it's not something we're supposed to know, but yeah, it's just the whole scene was just incredible, and the atmosphere and the vibe to it, and like how disturbing it was really, really amazing.
Also, like the sound design when she killed Talk, with the thunk, it was really. Ugh. I felt those sounds too.
Yeah, even the sound of like her pressing the switch on the other side to pull the other one into Maria's back, and again, a very violent shot for RWBY, and then the way she kills her with like she screams as she like pulls her scythe around to obviously cut off her head, and again, very, very violent and very quick. And then the way it just cuts to black suddenly before we actually see, we all know what's going to happen, but they just don't show it, obviously, because it's a little too graphic.
Yeah, but you could, I don't know, you could even, like, you can hear it and you can still see it in your head, like, even if, when they cut to black, like, as soon as she's going for the execution shot, like, you could see it with the sound playing and, her... You
can see it in your mind,
I guess,
yeah. It's almost more disturbing the way that they did it, because your imagination takes over at that point, and your imagination will always be worse than anything that will actually happen on screen. So, for those of us who have a very active imagination...
oh, yeah.
But, yeah, just a phenomenal scene, and then Maria talking about how, like, I should have done this, or I should have done that, and it's like, well... There's no point in thinking like that. Obviously, this has been playing on her mind for a long time now, because we can safely assume that this was 25 to 30 years ago that this happened, because Crow talks about being inspired by her and basing his weapon off of her, and we know that he's in his 40s, so I would say roughly 25 years ago.
Yeah. Well, my sister and I talked about this, and like, one thing that seems kind of weird to me is it's like, if he designed his weapon after hers, that would have had to be before he went to Beacon. But when he went to Beacon, he was going to learn to kill Huntsman. So, like, would he really, like, be this little fanboy for, like, the best huntsman?
Well, I mean, people forget he was raised by bandits. All bandits love to do is talk and tell stories. So he would have heard about the Grim Reaper through the bandits that they lived with, and obviously, I don't think he would have ever like seen anything to do with her, but people would have told stories about like this amazing grim killer with this scythe, and like so he drew inspiration from that, obviously. So and we don't know at what time roughly he crafted his weapon either, because he didn't go to combat school. So
it would have had been before Beacon, though.
It would have been, yeah. Yeah, so to hear Crow talk about the Grim Reaper, like, that was really nice too, because it's like, it was nice to hear Crow talk about, like, somebody that he admired and somebody that he wanted to be like. And it's like, all of us can relate to meeting somebody that we, like, they're like our idols, or somebody that we admire a lot. And all of us can relate to that sort of feeling where he's like, oh my god, it's the Grim Reaper, you know? But
this old lady who's been roasting me.
Yeah, I love Maria throwing shade at him like, oh, I'm nothing but a disappointment, so you're well on your way. And it's like, Jesus, Maria, that is savage. She doesn't like him very much. And I love that she's like, I get why she's so upset with him, but she also doesn't know where he's coming from, and like, all of the shit that he's had to deal with. So we understand why he is the way he is, but Maria doesn't. And she gives him a lot of shit for it. So, but I'm all for Maria throwing shade at Crow.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Maria talking about how, like, she was too afraid to fight after it happened and all of this, and, like,
I don't blame her at all for that.
I don't blame her at all.
No.
I get it. Like, somebody literally hunted her down and cut out her eyes. Like, I wouldn't want to fight after that either. I'd be like, no, thank you. I'm going to go live in a cabin in the woods for the rest of my life.
With these, like, really, really depressing events that you suffer through, like, we all handle it in different ways. And even those who, I guess, are inspirational, like Maria was, can really, really be knocked back 10 steps with such a really, really devastating event, like her eyes being slashed and everything that went down with her fight against Tok. So, and it really, really destroyed her. So, like I said, you can't really, blame her for wanting to, kind of take a step back from what she was doing, because it's, like I said, it's just hurt so much. And yeah, basically that.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, she was a legend. Like, she probably thought, like, maybe not intentionally, but she probably was a little bit like, I'm kind of invincible. Like, I'm hot shit. And then this person comes and is like, nope.
Yeah, overconfidence, definitely. And, overconfidence.
I mean, she even called herself out. She was arrogant. She called herself out on it.
I mean, another Star Wars reference. Yoda, after he failed to take care of Sidious, he just exiled himself from Dagobah, and that was it. I mean, yeah, the Jedi went to hell basically during Episode 3, but he really, for the rest of his life, he kicked himself so much after that whole battle with Sidious. So, yeah, and he was an iconic, understatement to describe that about Yoda, but he was a Jedi that everyone knew. Like the first name of the Jedi, you'd probably think Yoda along those lines.
Maria somehow went from Luke Skywalker to Yoda in 25 years. It's very impressive. She's definitely more of a Yoda now. Also, we need to talk about, how did she get so tiny? She was super tall before. She was really tall, and now she's like a small bean. I don't understand. How did she shrink so much? People shrink, sure, when they get older, but not that much. She's like less than half the height she used to be.
Well, that's why I saw some people talking about how she's gonna pull like this is a reference you won't get back, but she's gonna pull an Uncle Iroh from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and just someday she'll just stand up straight and like, and she'll just be super tall and muscular again. And they'll be like, oh, you were just like hunched over the whole time, pretending to be small and frail.
I don't know that anyone hunches that much, but yeah, I don't understand how she got so tiny. Am I forgetting anything from the scene? I don't think so, not really. But RWBY taking the initiative to be like, well, maybe you can help us now, teach me how to use my silver eyes. I love that RWBY was the one who reached out and asked for her to teach her that. It wasn't something that Maria was like, okay, I'm going to teach you how to be a silver-eyed warrior. RWBY was like, no, she reached out and took that initiative for herself. And I love that about RWBY.
That was something I was also nervous about with the last episode, is when she said, how did you know how to make my eyes do that? Like, she was taking away, like, she hadn't accomplished that, her eyes just did that. And so I was like, no, RWBY, you did that. And now I'm liking that she's taking the initiative to say, teach me. Like, it's almost like she's taking kind of back the, like, I did that. Like,
well,
let's do that again. Teach me to do that again.
Maybe she feels like she doesn't have control over her eyes, because she's only used them deliberately that one time, and it was because Maria was, like, encouraging her. So I feel like she feels as though she has no control over this power. So she's asking Maria, teach me how to control this. Teach me how to use it. Because right now, it's using her, not the other way around. So, yeah, it was nice that RWBY took that initiative for herself. And then Jean called her. Okay, the title of this podcast, right? I just want to say, last week, I was the only one who said we would get to Argus this episode, and everybody gave me shit. And I just want to say I was right, and y'all can go fuck yourselves.
You know what you should do? You know what you should have done, like, for your reaction video for episode 7? You should have just replayed all of the comments, I don't know, as an intro video, and then, yeah.
I mean, you guys can go watch last week's podcast if you want to see how much shit they were giving me at the end for saying that. But, we arrived in Argus.
That bad.
Now, I didn't expect us to spend any time in Argus. I would have thought the episode would close with us, like, getting to Argus. But then when we were, like, 2/3 of the way through the episode and they were arriving in Argus, I was like, uh-oh, are we actually gonna... Is Team Junior about to show up? But when John called RWBY, I was like, oh my god, thank god they're okay. Like, just such a, like, sigh of relief. I was like, oh, finally. And I liked also the, when she pointed the scroll towards the hill, the signal went up. That was an interesting detail. And, I love the shots of them, like, driving up the hill, with the rising piano playing in the background. And the lighting was gorgeous, and like transitioning from the snowy woods to the sort of greenish hill with the Argus next to the sea, and like just very, very pretty shots.
Yeah.
And
Argus is beautiful.
Seeing the look on everybody's faces when they saw Argus finally, and like Weiss looks concerned. I realized just now when I was getting the thumbnail for this podcast, she's the only one who looks like, ooh, uh-oh. And I feel like it's because she's anticipating that, like, okay, Argus, this is the last stop before we go to Atlas. So now she's starting to get, like, really concerned. She's like, well, I really don't want to go back to Atlas.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the stuff in a second, Bartek. We're getting there, slowly. First of all, let's talk about the Junior RWBY reunion, because holy fuck am I so happy to see those guys. Oh my gosh, I've been complaining the entire volume. I've done nothing but complain about, where's Team Junior? I need to see them, I need to know they're okay.
It's so funny, like, I was contemplating, like, in the intro, like, we've gone a long time without seeing Team Junior, so if, you know, they don't show up in this episode, I'm probably going to make a comment saying, where's Team Junior at? Because, like, it's the halfway point, and the last time we've seen them is episode 1, so... thank goodness they showed up in this episode, because they just basically spared me from making a bit of a complaint about that. So
ever since chapter 3, I've been like, where are Team Junior? I'm so concerned. Are they okay? What are they doing? Did they get to Argus? And the other thing is, I feel like they, because of events that are occurring later in the episode with like Saffron and meeting Terracotta and all of that, I feel like they got there that morning, so they've only gotten to the city that same day. And I'll explain why I think that later. But because Jean was saying, I've been checking my scroll free signal ever since we arrived in the city, but they never say when they actually arrived. But I'll talk about that a bit later.
I don't know. I just think that, like, with how it didn't seem to take, like, just on the bike, it didn't take them that long. I'm like, with the train, it would have taken, like, they would have been on the train for, like, an hour at most after.
I mean, we don't know how far away from Mistral they were when they were attacked, so that's the thing. But yeah, again, it didn't.
But
take
still,
them
like,
very
they had a common
there.
stopping point where they, like, this is where they diverge. And it's only been, like, 24 hours since that point, so...
I mean, I'll explain why I think that later, because there is a reason. But, this scene when they were reuniting with Team Junior was so nice, because it was nice to see characters that don't usually interacting. So, like, Ren comes up and he's like, "Are you all okay?" And he hugs Yang, which was an interesting thing.
Yeah.
And then, in the background, I absolutely love this. Blake going up to Jean and giving him a one-armed hug and, like, cuddling up to him like a cat was so adorable. I was like, ah! Blake, you're being such a cat right now, and it's so cute, and I love it. And, like, the expression on her face, and, Jean was saying we were so worried, and Yang said it's been kind of a crazy trip, and Weiss was like, that's an understatement. There was a lot of background chatter going on in the next bit when Ruby sees Jean and Jean sees Ruby. I want to talk about what they were saying in the background. Blake said to Jean, "I'm so glad you're all safe," and Weiss said, "Seriously," and then they walked away in the next shot. And then in the background you can hear Blake saying, "Hey, oh my gosh, Lai." And Ren, calling him Lai is interesting because everyone calls him Ren, but Blake calls him Lai. And Ren said, "How'd you guys not freeze to death?" And Weiss says, "I'm seriously regretting not packing my coat." I'm like, why didn't you pack your coat? You know where you were going. Like, you knew where your eventual destination was Atlas. Why the fuck didn't you pack your coat, Weiss? But anyway, the scene of Jean and Ruby hugging, and their hug lasted quite a long time. I got choked up.
Heart.
I started to, like, get teary. I was like, I'm not going to cry. It's not going to happen. It was close. It was a close call. I was very misty-eyed. But just, like, I just wanted them to hug so badly. And then the scene was full of emotion without any words. And,
yeah.
I also loved that, like, Jean bent down and Ruby went up on her tiptoes to hug him because he's so tall. And it was just such a nice moment, and the shot lasted for like 3 seconds. And like, they don't really need to say anything, but Ruby's like, "I promised, didn't I?" And he was like, and him getting teary almost made me cry. I was like, "Don't, Jean, how dare you? Put that away. You're gonna make me start." And he's like, "Yeah,
it just makes you love. It just makes you love their connection, though. Like, that reunion, and you know how beautiful that scene, especially with Jean and Ruby, was like tracing back to their relationship ever since the very start. It's just a beautiful sight to see, and you know, it just definitely, like you pointed out, how much warming it does to your heart, or how, you know, close to tears it nearly makes you. It's just so beautiful.
I feel like since Volume 3, every reunion we've had in the show has made me so emotional, because I'm like, these people have been apart for so long, and I've been so concerned about their safety, and like, to seeing them, especially in Volume 5 with all the reunions that were happening, I was crying constantly during Volume 5, because I'm like, oh, they're back together finally. And then when they got separated in Volume 6, I've done nothing but worry the whole time, and then when they got back together, I was like, finally! Like, and all the reunions make me so emotional, because I'm so worried about them all the time, because Volume 3 traumatized me. I'm like, at any moment, one of them could just drop dead. And I just, like, yeah, the reunions make me super emotional, so, I just can't help it. I pretty much cry at all of them. For God's sake. What is with the trolls today?
I know, seriously.
Get out of Dodge. Yeah, so I liked all the background chatter that was going on in this scene. I found it really interesting. I turned the volume way up to listen to it because I could hear that they were actually saying stuff, not just like chatting. Argus.
That's like in the past where it's been like blah 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 blah
blah blah blah blah. Literally, at some points, it's been blah 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 blah. Argus is gorgeous. I love the design of Argus because it reminds me of Adelaide, the city that I live near. Specifically Port Adelaide. If anybody has ever been to Port Adelaide, you'll know that that's very much what it looks like. It's a port city, and it's very heritage, and there's a lot of history to it, and that's what Argus reminded me of.
Well, I mean, looking at the design of Argus, it is very clear that it is designed after San Francisco.
Yeah.
Because, like, it even has its own... It even has, like, the White Gate Bridge. Mm-hmm.
Instead of...
like,
now you say it, I can see it, yeah.
And cable cars, and, you know, it's... So much about it is very clearly, I'm like, okay, we're in San Francisco now.
And was there something to do with San Francisco legalizing same-sex marriage as well that was, like... I don't remember where I read this online somewhere, but I think they might have been one of the first counties to legalize it. And so they drew a lot of inspiration, I think, from San Francisco for Argus. But it's a gorgeously designed city. Like, looking around, I'm like, holy crap, they put a lot of detail into designing this city. So I'm wondering how much time we're going to spend here. Because they have put a lot of effort into designing this. So
yeah, I was just basically on the same boat because I was looking around at the different landscapes and all that, and I was like, oh my god, this actually does look beautiful. So yeah, they have spent a lot of work. So yeah, we might be spending I do agree with your thought that we might be spending a bit of time in Argus, and I can't blame them because it's such a beautiful place at the minute.
It's really pretty.
So
I really love the design of Argus. It's
I'm moving to Argus.
Let's all move to Argus.
I know.
It seems like the safest place in Remnant to me, to be honest. Vale's not doing so
well,
great
I forgot to mention this, but in the scene at the start when Yang locks up her bike, which by the way the code she uses spells ILY, so it's I love you.
854.
Oh.
458.
Oh, 458.
And but also when Oscar looks up the wall, you can see that there are robot guards positioned all along it. And then you get a wider shot later, and you see that it's actually one guard faces in the city, one faces out, one faces in, one faces out. And it's all along the wall. Are you looking this up now?
458 does not spell ILY, because Y is on the 9 key. I was just thinking that. It's ILU.
Oh, ILU, you're right, that is it.
I was going to say, why is on the 9 key? What is he talking about? But anyway, yeah.
I even wrote it down correctly in my notes, ILU.
Yeah,
but I said ILY.
Yeah, because you were thinking I love you. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I love the design of Argus. I loved the dust-powered, like, tram. We call them trams. We have a lot of trams in Australia. There's trams fucking everywhere. So and it was very much modeled after like a vintage tram, and I love those. They're so cool. But the fact that it was dust powered, there were no cables anywhere, was really cool. So I mean, I'm assuming it's dust powered. What else would it be powered by?
Yeah, everything.
Gravity dust. And there was no driver on the tram either, I don't think. So automated, perhaps.
Also, they were just able to just stop it wherever. Like they didn't have to wait for a station. They just were like, we're stopping here."
Well, I mean, just press the stop button, and here we are. I loved the shots of, like, everybody, like, leaning out of the tram and, like, looking at the city, and, like, it's so exciting for them to be in a new place, and, obviously, they can all breathe a sigh of relief because they're in a big city that's well protected, and they're like, we're not gonna have to worry about any Grim here.
The Argus is happy.
Yeah.
Why not move there?
I love the initial shot of the tram coming towards the camera, because Blake is, like, leaning right out of the tram and like looking out, and her ears are all perked up, and I'm like, Blake, you're so precious right now. I think Blake too she probably didn't see a lot of the world outside of Menagerie for a long time, so I think that it's exciting for her to like travel to new places. I don't think RWBY and Yang have seen much outside of Patch and Vale either, so them coming to Anima is a big thing for them. It's all very exciting. And it really shows on their faces. And I'm like, if Team Junior did get there that morning, they seem to know an awful lot about the city. Like, Ren's doing the whole tour guide thing of like, oh, let me just tell you everything about the city I've been in for a few hours. Like, but yeah, it's really nice shots. And then when they stopped, and Oscar has his one line for the chapter, or his second line for the chapter, technically. Oh, they've just forgotten about Oscar, and it's driving me insane. I'm like, he should be curled up in a corner crying somewhere right now. If I was him, that's what I would be doing.
I can relate, because basically in my D&D campaign, I am literally Ozpin right now. So, not Oscar. Ozpin is basic. There's an more evil version of Ozpin lying in my character's head at the minute, so I can relate to Oscar.
But when Oscar's like, where have you been staying? And Jean has that kind of awkward thing, something in me went, is this about to, like, and then when the tram pulls away and we see Saffron in the background, I'm like, I literally, like... No.
As soon as he got awkward, you could kind of see Saf through the,
I didn't notice her.
Through the thing, so I was like, blonde hair. And then it pulled away, and I was like, blue eyes.
I know. The second I saw her, I went, because I was like, straight away, I was like, oh my god, Jean's sister! Like, I didn't need them to all be like, oh, look at this, Jean, Saffron, they look exactly the same. I did not need that. The second I saw her in the background, I was like, oh my god, Jean's sister. Like, because they look exactly the same. But Adrian is so super cute. I loved that she had, like, a baby on her hip. I was like, oh, that's really cute. And when you first see Saffron and it, like, goes into that close-up shot and she's waving, you hear Yang in the background say, is that, like, questioning? Because obviously Jean's talked about his sisters before, because, like, again, we don't get to see all of this happening in the actual show, but obviously Jean's talked about his sisters. And RWBY's reaction to seeing Saf is adorable.
Oh my god.
And one thing I loved about these shots of like RWBY freaking out is everybody in the background everybody in the background was reacting they were all reacting to RWBY. And I was watching the background the next couple of times I watched it, and everybody sort of, like, looks at RWBY when she freaks out, and they're all like, RWBY, are you okay? Like, I love that they were just not standing there.
Well, I saw a person on Tumblr talking about how they thought that those weird looks that the others were giving her were that, like, for some reason, they were like, oh, the other RWBY girls were like, oh, that's Jean's wife or something, and I was like, no. What?
Hey,
what?
Thank you for the biddy. It's your boy Seven. I don't know. Thank you for the charity biddy. Yeah, so I just, oh my god, I lost my shit when I saw Jean's sister. I was like, oh my god, this is so exciting. Because we've only ever heard him talk about these 7 sisters that he has, and I've been dying to meet them ever since, like, I found out that he's got 7 sisters. I'm like, that's insane. I need to meet every single one of his sisters.
One down, 6 to go.
Please don't spam 1 bits in the chat. What was I talking about? Yeah, so meeting Saffron was really, really exciting because we're finally getting to find out a little bit more about Jean and his family life. Saffron and Terracotta's house is huge and gorgeous. I'm like, how much money do they make? Like, seriously, they look like they're loaded. Their house is massive. And of course they're housing, like, how many huntsmen and huntresses? Like, 9? Some stupid number like that. It's Maria, Crow, RWBY, Weiss, Blake, Yang, Jean, Ren, and Nora. 8.
Yeah.
That's insane. plus them. And
did you count Oscar?
Oh, 9. Yeah, it is 9. No,
yeah, I was like, where?
I missed
Oscar.
Jean,
Oscar's in the background crying.
Jean, Nora, Ren, Ruby, Weiss, Blake, Yang, Crow, Maria, Oscar. 10. Like, how are they able to sleep 10 people in their house? Like, that's a lot of people. Yeah, I like Ruby being like, oh, I can't believe I'm meeting your sister. I have so many questions. And then Nora's like, I'll give you the rundown later. I loved that. So, obviously, they've already, you know, at this point, they've met Saffron, Team Junior have, and they've already gotten to speak to her a little bit. So, they've been in the city for a little while. But the reason I think that they arrived that day is because I don't think Team Nora and Ren had met Terracotta yet. Because when Terracotta walks in the door and Saffron says, everyone, this is my wife Terracotta, they all do a different greeting. Ren says, nice to meet you. And Nora says, hello. So the fact that he says, nice to meet you, makes me go, okay, they must have arrived in the city that day, and they haven't met her yet, because she's only just come home for the day. So that's why I think that. Either that, or it was an oversight. Either way, it's entirely possible. But I also liked, I replayed that shot a lot of times to hear the different greetings that people gave. Crow didn't say anything, because he's a grumpy shit. Blake said, nice to meet you. Ren said, nice to meet you. Nora said, hello. Ruby said, hello. Weiss said, hey. And Yang said, hey there. So it was interesting that they all gave, like, a different... Oscar didn't say anything either. Neither did Maria. I love that shot, though, of, like, Terracotta walking in the door. And just, like, seeing the amount of people in her living room and being like, holy crap. Like, the look on her face. But I skipped over the part where Saffron was talking to everybody and talking about how, like, she moved away from home as soon as she could, and seeing the photo of Jean with his 7 sisters. It's interesting because we know Miles has said in the past that Jean's not the youngest child. He's in the middle, but more to the younger end. So there's 8 of them. So we can assume that he's baby number 5 or 6, maybe. So he might have 2 younger sisters and 5 older ones.
Yeah, but that's the thing that confused me is, like, looking at that picture, I was like, Jean looks so much younger than the rest of them.
I think it's deliberate.
Just like...
I think it was deliberate, making him look a bit smaller. And, like, to contrast
the only
with
thing
how
I
big
could,
he
like...
is now.
The only thing I could, like, rationalize is, like, will girls mature faster? Like, I'm a triplet, and my sisters used to call me the short one, and now I'm, like, 4 inches taller than both of them.
Well, that's the thing. Women, I think, mature a lot more gradually, whereas guys kind of, like, stay the same until they just shoot up. So, you know, it's yeah, I'm not surprised John was kind of, I feel like it's deliberate that he was the small one. I love that he was wearing the Pumpkin Peach hoodie, but I'm like, how does that still fit you? If that's the same hoodie, that doesn't make any sense. But I don't think it's, like, supposed to be the same hoodie. It's just them going, oh, this is Jean. You know, making it very obvious. And the fact that his hair was in pigtails, because he talked about his sisters braiding his hair before, and putting it in pigtails, and all that. That's super cute. I got a decent look at all of his sisters. One of them seems to be quite a bit older than the rest. That's not Saffron.
I almost thought it was Mom.
I almost thought it was Mom too, but I counted them and there was only 7.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a sister, and it's definitely the oldest sister, but she looks quite a bit older than the rest. I think Saffron is the one to her right, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
She's
the one laying upside down on the couch.
Yeah, I think that's Saffron. And then there's a couple of twins to the left, a really nerdy looking one to the right, and the other 2 I don't remember.
One of them looks exactly like, oh god, is his name David from Camp?
I don't
know. The
know.
character Miles voices.
Yes.
One of them looks exactly like him.
Yes,
I don't watch Camp,
because I love
so
Camp. I do. I know the song as well, so...
Oh dear.
Yeah, I've, like, even the fast parts, it's just like a race.
Well, we're gonna get you to sing that at the end. I'm kidding. Yeah, so it was really cool to actually, like, see all of Jean's sisters, and there are twins in there, obviously. I mean, you wouldn't have 8 kids and not have a set of twins. That would be bizarre.
I feel like they mentioned him having twin sisters before,
no,
or was that...
I don't think so.
I know why, because when I realized there were twins, I was like, wait, that sounds familiar.
I don't think they've ever mentioned it, not that I can
Like, I could have
recall.
swore he said, like, the twins.
No, he's definitely never said the twins. I don't. No, I don't think so. He's only ever said my sisters or 7 sisters or. Yeah, so it was cool to see him and all of his sisters. So now we know what they look like, or what they looked like them when they were little, at least. But we can clearly see which one is Saffron. So I want to say she's maybe like the 3rd oldest. She's not the oldest.
I know, based on that.
I don't know if she's the 2nd oldest.
I think she's the 2nd oldest because all the other ones looked pretty small. Yeah.
I can understand why the oldest sister wouldn't have moved from home yet, because she had 7 younger siblings that she's probably still helping to take care of at home. So, as she said, Saffron said her and John are the only 2 living away from home. So everybody else is still home. So, yeah, but I liked that it was clear which one of them was Saffron, and that they all do have varying shades of blonde hair. It's not all the same. Like Saffron and John don't have the same shade of blonde hair. Did they all have blue eyes? I think they did, but some of them had like light aqua eyes, and some of them were a deep blue. So yeah, it's nice to see that they don't all look exactly the same. I love Saffron's hair color, actually, and I love her hairstyle. I love her design. I think she's really, really cute. I love her. And the banter that she was having with Jean here is like calling him her baby brother, and he's like, "I am not a baby. That is a baby." I love
and then the
Jean
baby's reaction was
Adrian's
absolutely
reaction,
cute.
He is fucking adorable. I love Adrian, and I loved Yang like playing with the airship with him, and like, because when I was watching the scene, I was like, oh, Yang's being such a super mom right now, but I forget that like Yang essentially raised RWBY. So I forget that she's got a lot of experience with children, and she probably really likes children. But Weiss was surprising to me, the way that she was freaking out over the baby as well. I was like, oh, Weiss, you do have a maternal side, look at you. But the shot of them being like anime eyes towards the baby was so cute. I was like, oh my gosh. That is literally the entire fandom right now. He is so super cute. And then like Saffron like teasing Jean about following her, moving out of home, and then they're fighting and stuff. It was so cute. I love their interactions. Love. Yeah, sibling love. You can tell that they really do like each other, which is nice. So not all siblings get along, but clearly they do get along quite well. But she just likes to tease him because she's the older sister. Yeah, so she's older than John, but she's not the oldest, definitely. She might be the 2nd or 3rd oldest. So, y'all know what we need to talk about. Terracotta walking in the door. As soon as I saw her walk in the door, I knew exactly what was up, and I freaked the fuck out. I was like, oh my god! LGBT characters, finally. I mean, we've had Ilya, but again, we just got her and she's been taken away already, and she wasn't in a healthy relationship. Oh my gosh, I love Terracotta's design as well. She's like such like a working mom vibe, and I love that about her. But her face when she walks in the door and she's like, Jesus Christ, there's 12 people in my living room. Like, what is happening right now? And the way Saffron just so casually is like, everyone, this is my wife, Terracotta. And there's like no big deal made about it. They are a functioning couple in a healthy relationship with an adorable fucking baby. And I love, love, love it. And they clearly love and respect one another. And it's just such a nice, healthy portrayal of an LGBT relationship, which is so hard to find in any kind of media. And Terracotta, when she's like, "Hun, can I get some help, please?" And Saffron just jumps up and like skips after her into the kitchen. It's so cute.
So cute.
And then talking about them being happy to house huntsmen and huntresses,
while holding hands.
And like Terracotta's now got Adrian on her knee, which is super cute. I don't know. I wonder if Saffron works, and if she works, what does she do? Because I'm wondering if, because again, they have a very big house, so like we know that Terracotta's a technician for the CCT, but exactly how much would that pay? Is my question.
I'm
very curious.
Likely.
I'm guessing she probably gets paid a lot because, like, she's on call and she's getting, like, blame placed on her for things that are happening at, like, with the radar and stuff. Like, she's got to be kind of important.
Yeah.
So it means she's probably making bank.
Yeah. I'm wondering about Adrian, because he kind of looks like Terracotta, but at the same time, I'm more like, did they adopt him? Was he, like, an IVF baby situation, or like, I'm kind of curious about that. I feel like maybe they adopted him because he doesn't look that much like Terracotta, but he's got brown eyes as well. So when I initially saw Adrian, I was like, okay, Saffron and Adrian look nothing alike, but maybe he looks like his dad. But then when I found out Terracotta was the mother, not the father, I was like, okay, so they must have adopted him or something like that. But it's just so nice to see this little LGBT family. They're so cute. And
one thing I do want to talk about is I saw some people discussing how. Okay, I saw one person discussing how they're like, by the end of the volume, either Saffron or Tara is gonna be dead, and I'm like, Rooster Teeth would not.
No.
They would not stick to the god-awful trope of bury your gays. They wouldn't do that.
They wouldn't fucking dare. The fandom would have a field day. They would riot in the streets. I don't understand why people think this, because I'm like, okay, this family lives in Argus, which could be one of the safest cities in Remnant. Why in the freaking hell do they think Saffron and Terra are in the line of fire whatsoever right now? Like, just because we've met them and they're Jean's family, and they're LGBT, they're dead now. No, it's silly.
You gotta just love the cheery optimism of some people.
I know, right?
Like this.
But it's like,
so
it's so backwards. I'm like, they're not gonna do that to, like, their only representation of a healthy LGBT couple. It's just not gonna happen. They're fine, relax. And like, I honestly don't see how they could get themselves in so much trouble that they would end up dead right now. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
I feel like at best, the team might be spending maybe a week in Argus, which might be a couple of episodes in real time. Because again, I feel like they're moving the story along very quickly this volume, which is why I said we're going to get to Argus this chapter, because they're trying to push it along. They're trying to move it along very quickly. They're trying to not suffer from the drag that the last two volumes suffered from. So, they're trying to push it forward and trying to get the ball rolling. So, yeah, I feel like a couple of chapters, maybe 3. I would hope that we're leaving by chapter 10.
Well, before this episode, I was like, the season is ending with us leaving Argus. But now that we've reached Argus and we're only halfway through the volume, I'm kind of like, okay, well, their end goal is Atlas. So maybe after Argus, they'll like have to make a pit stop in the city of Mantle. And then, so that way they still end the season like with them approaching Atlas. But they still don't like just sit in Argus for 7 episodes.
I don't know about a pit stop in Mantle, because Argus is the halfway point. We're at the halfway point in the volume and we're taking the pit stop in Argus. I don't feel like in 2 more episodes we'll have another pit stop in Mantle. Yeah. I feel like we'll be a straight shot from Argus to Atlas. Once they actually get out of Argus, I feel like the next time we see them, they will be in Atlas.
Because we've also got to start developing as well, like, what the close is going to be, and you know that usually takes a few episodes to develop. So
finales in RWBY take 3 episodes or more. Like, they don't do it in 1 episode. It doesn't happen.
I think it was 4 and a bit last year, but there was a lot going on with what was happening at Haven, Cinder versus Raven, and the Relic as well. So there was a lot to cram into. I guess 4 episodes, so you just never know.
There were 14 chapters in Volume 5, and the group got to Haven, and the attack on Haven started in chapter 10. It was literally 5 chapters of finale. It was insane. And we were like, how on earth are they going to drag this out for 5 chapters? But then once it got to like chapter 13, we're like, how are they going to wrap this up in 1?
No, it started in 11. They got there at 11.
No, because 11 was Weiss getting impaled.
That was in the first. That was in the start of the finale. Because 10 was all about what happened with Blake.
Oh
at
shit,
Blake's
you're right.
house.
Yeah, it was chapter 11. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait, wasn't that chapter 9?
Yeah.
Chapter
No,
9 was the start
9 was the
of...
one you hated.
Chapter 9 was the start of the Belladonna assault. That's right.
Yeah, chapter 9 was
oh my
with
God.
Cinder and Raven talking, and yeah.
Don't even get me started on the Belladonna assault, because that went for way too fucking long. Oh my goodness. That would drag that out over 3 chapters, why don't you? For no reason. Holy crap. I'm so glad they haven't done that yet, this volume. There's a lot of volume left, so I'm going to say yet.
Jinxed.
Let's not have a repeat of Volume 5, please. Don't get me wrong, I love Volume 5, but it had its problems, and one of those was dragging this out for too long, and then the finale I won't even talk about. So, and Chapter 9, don't go there. Yeah, so... What the frick was I talking about? Oh yeah, Saffron and Terracotta. Crow, like, just, like, prattling on about how, like, oh yes, it's completely illegal for me to take these children out into the wilderness and almost get them killed on a daily basis, you know, it's fine. Ruby saying, shut up, there's food. I loved that.
Yeah, I just loved that. As well as her cramming 2 sandwiches, like, basically at once. That was so...
Like,
she's
not even eating one and then the other. She's literally taking a bite out of one and a bite out of the other. Like, you are so Ruby right now. You are the most Ruby. Terracotta, yeah, taking that call and being like, oh, I'm sorry, I have to take this. And Saffron giving us some information about the CCT situation in Argus, and the fact that there is a CCT tower in Argus. Can't speak.
It's not a CCT tower. It's a relay tower.
Oh, the relay tower. Sorry, you're right. And obviously the military base is there, and things are crossing signals, and shit's going wrong. And I love Terracotta poking her head out and saying, "Me, me." It's really good. And while Saffron's talking, Adrian was being so adorable, I couldn't even really focus on what Saffron was saying, because he's sitting there and he literally puffs up his cheeks and gets his little finger and deflates his own cheeks. And I'm like, you are just... I can't even with you. You're so fucking cute. So adorable. I'm like, he is just doing weird baby shit right now, and it's so cute.
They got the animation on the baby so good, too, which is like the way they... fidget and like just kind of clench their hands.
They can't have mocapped a toddler to do that, surely. There's no way.
They might have used Iris, actually.
Iris? I don't know, because Iris is
but
very,
would they have
very
had
little.
a suit to put her in?
I'm sure there was a tweet recorded going on about Iris doing some like something voice acting related, so they might have actually implemented that into Adrian. And,
I'm gonna look at Lindsay Jones's Twitter right now and see if I can find anything about this.
I am positive I saw like some kind of mention, but
Iris didn't voice Adrian though, because there was a different voice listed for Adrian.
There was a voice actor listed for Adrian, yeah. But again, it's like baby voices, so
yeah,
that's why.
And one so. But they did a really good job with voicing him. It can't be easy to voice a toddler. It's like, what do you do with that, really? I'm trying to scroll back through Lindsay's Twitter now to see if I can find anything about it. I'm still on December 11th.
Well, a tangent I can go on while you look for that is
tangent away.
One thing I really liked about Saffron's just about Saffron was how just like multifaceted her name is, because like it's clearly a reference to sapphire for her eyes. I mean, granted, isn't saffron also a color?
Yeah.
When I think of saffron, though, I think of the spice saffron. But again, I think of like the bright orange spice, which I think is where a lot of the bright orange on her outfit comes from. But yeah, it's definitely a sapphire, I think, because it's spelled S-A-P-H.
Yeah, I think sapphire is like a color. So yeah.
Let me actually look
but then
saffron. Yeah, it tries to correct me with double F.
But another thing about her name is that it's also clearly a reference to the Greek poet of Sappho, who is have you ever heard of something being called sapphic? It means that it's like related to lesbianism.
No,
and the Greek poet of Sappho is like one of the like I don't know, a lot of her poems and writings had a lot to do with like female relationships, and she's actually the reason we have the word lesbian today, because she was born on the island of Lesbos. And so I just think that like that is probably another clear reference to, you know, why they chose to spell her name PH instead of double F, because that's how Sappho was spelled.
Yeah, so you're right on the money there, because saffron is Greek, and it's a derivative of saffronia, which means wise. So, yeah, that's where that comes from. I can't see anything on Lindsay's Twitter about Iris.
I'm sure there was, but
it might not have been on Lindsay's Twitter. So,
yeah.
but
It might be my head as well,
later.
but. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so, Ruby's saying that they're going to go to the military base, and John being like, well, we tried that, and it did not go well. And then the final shot of the episode, obviously, with zooming in on Team RWBY being outside of the gates closing on them, and having the, like, little score of the Atlas military theme going on. Mm-hmm. Nice to have that kind of call back there, because we haven't actually heard that since Volume 3.
I was instantly back in Volume 3 when that little troll played.
Yeah, so it was like, took me back, and I was like, uh-oh, things are about to get worse. And, yeah, you had a problem with how short the shot was, but I think it was okay the way that they closed the episode there.
I mean, it's just my issue I have with a lot of it's just because it ended there. Like, I'll have no issue with it, like, as a movie, but it just, like, as the ending of an episode, I was like, oh.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it. I sort of found it funny that it was such a short shot that was like, oh,
yeah,
this is going to be easy? Nope.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of fun as well. It wasn't really a complaint. It was like, oh, that was abrupt. Oh, well.
Yeah. And I have a feeling that the next couple of chapters are going to be very frustrating for Team RWBY and Team Junior.
But I just love... I was going to make a comment regarding the whole... it's just clicked back to me about the whole fact that they were with Saffron, and the fact that this is really, really great to see them at... since Chapter 1, they're most comfortable, because they've had to stay with Brunswick Farm, of course, and they've had to deal with what's happened with Salem, and there's been a lot of distress. So I really, really loved how comforting and calm, this was for Team RWBY. Like, they finally got that chance to have a bit of a break with happiness and whatnot.
Yeah, it's nice for them to be able to sort of breathe a bit and be back in civilization and be not in familiar ground, but they're with Jean's family, so like for them to sit down and have a breather.
Apathy. No apathy, no corpses, just happiness.
One thing I still think is weird is I'm like, okay, they clearly knew they were going to Argus. Like, did Jean not mention, hey, I have a sister who lives in Argus? Like, why was that something that didn't come up?
Why did he never mention this? Or did he and we just didn't see it?
Could
but
be.
I'm like, surely if he knew they were going to Argus, wouldn't he say, oh, my sister lives in Argus? Or maybe he didn't want to mention that his sister lives in Argus until they got there and needed somewhere to stay.
But like,
because
why?
We have that, we do have that teasing thing going on, so it could be something like, yeah, best not at this point, and I'm going along with the fact that, Jean's decided to be like, yeah, I'm just not going to say anything as of now, and we'll just deal with that if we cross that bridge.
Or it's entirely possible that it just didn't occur to him. Because I know I've definitely done that before. Where, like, I've gone to a city where somebody I know lives and haven't even thought to, like, go see them. Because I've been like, oh, crap, I didn't even think about it. So it's entirely possible it just didn't occur to him until he was there. And he's like, oh, crap, my sister lives here. We could go stay with her. But yeah, there's a number of different reasons why maybe he didn't mention it. Also, it could be an oversight. Because, you know, those happen. Yeah, so I was going to say something and I lost it completely.
We'll leave it up to headcanon.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I completely forgot. I'm wondering if the final shot of the episode is like Team RWBY getting tossed out of the military base after having met with someone in there, and if they did, will we get to see that meeting in the next chapter? Or is it just like they're just literally being turned away at the gate?
I don't know. The way that I foresee the next episode going, I would think that, like, that they got turned away at the gate, and that, like, they'll spend at least the start of the next episode being like, we have Crow here to talk to Ironwood, or I don't know. I also think we're going to see Winter soon, so, like, maybe they'll be like, hey, we've got, like, a Shnee here. She's trying to get in contact with her sister. Can you help us out?
I have a feeling Weiss is going to be very pivotal in getting them from point A to point B. So, I feel like she's going to have to work her Shnee magic. Especially because she, like, disappeared at the end of the last volume, and Jacques is probably like, where the fuck did Weiss go? Or he doesn't give a shit, you know? Which is also entirely possible. I don't think he gives a shit, but at the same time, I don't think he would turn down the opportunity to get her back, because he's Mr. Possessive Pants, so, but, you know, Team RWBY's not going to let that happen, it's fine. She's got her team now, she'll be like, no, excuse me, Daddy-O, I don't think so.
Put Jacques in his place, like, sit down.
Yeah,
Weiss has had enough of being held prisoner, thank you very much.
RWBY will cut off his arm, it's fine.
Please. Please eliminate Jacques from the picture, and while you're at it, take Shitley with him. Shitley.
I remember actually someone commenting saying, you know, stop hating on Whitley and all of that, and I'm like...
Why? He's a piece of shit. He's a walking, talking, white-haired turd, and I hate him. Yeah.
I remember when at the start of Volume 4, you and I were talking about it, and I was getting really creepy vibes from him, and you were like, oh no, it's probably fine. And then episode whatever rolls around, and you were like, nah, you were right, sorry.
Yeah. I just I wasn't sure about him when we first met him. I was like, I think you might have ulterior motives, but I want you to be a nice person, and he just wasn't, so then I was like, alright, yeah, Shnees, great people. Really, really.
I mean,
awesome.
We like the ladies.
I mean, Winter's still abusive as hell towards Weiss. Like,
I don't know.
She's not exactly a nice person.
But she's a lot better than, you know, the men, I guess. So.
Yeah, I feel like, though, they've both grown up in this environment of tough love, so that's kind of how they are. But I think Weiss is used to a different kind of love now after spending so much time with Team RWBY. So I feel like she's grown apart from her sister in that sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing Winter. Please, can we see Winter soon? It's been so long.
I mean,
well, Elizabeth Maxwell. Elizabeth Maxwell, did tweet something that I was like, oh, you're teasing that Winter's coming back. I can't remember what it was right now, but I remember seeing her tweet something and being like...
She's definitely coming back. It's just a question of when at this point.
When?
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people were thinking with the Weiss character short that this could mean that, you know, Winter somehow appears in Volume 5, but alas, we didn't get to see that.
I mean, Miles and Carey did make it clear after the volume that, like, putting her in the character short and having her say the line, I'm not always going to be there to save you, Weiss, was supposed to be a very clear indicator that she was not going to come and save Weiss in Volume 5. So, but it is definitely going to be more appropriate for us to see her this volume.
I've seen some people think that Winter's going to be in charge of that military base, But I'm like, I don't know. She
No,
seems more like special ops
she's
and
not high
less
enough
like
rank for that. Definitely.
Yeah.
She might be a lieutenant at best, maybe at best. Again, she's very young as well, so she wouldn't have that high of a ranking at her age. I can't remember how big of an age gap they said there was between Winter and Weiss, but I think it's 9 or 10 years or something like that. They're very far apart in age, so it's safe to assume that Winter's about 28, 29, because Weiss is 19 now. So,
yeah.
which again, that was confirmed as well. They confirmed RWBY is 17 and everyone else is 19 now. So it's been 2 years since they first went to Beacon, essentially, of story time.
Grown up.
They've all grown up.
They're grown.
RWBY's gonna be an adult soon. That's a scary thought.
Nope, she's not anytime soon. We've got a year.
We've got a year, sure.
Which means like 2 volumes.
Physically, but you know, mentally she'll still be like that cute kid, won't she? So it's like...
To be fair to RWBY, she has matured a lot, but I think that's an effect of circumstance. She has had to. She hasn't had a choice. She was very, very immature when we first met her, but she's come a very long way.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially this volume, and seeing how many times she's stepped up to being the leader, and you know, there's been so many difficult situations that, you know, RWBY has kind of put the team into a I'd say a positive direction rather than, you know, chaos everywhere. So yeah, she has matured a lot since we first saw her back at the very first episode.
I don't, oh my gosh, don't remind me about the first episode. Like, when I try to watch RWBY, like, Volume 1 now, I'm like, oh, this looks so bad. Like,
it's so different, isn't it? Like, you go along the story and, you know, you'll look back on previous episodes and it's just going to feel so different. I mean, I'm like that with Doctor Who, I guess. Like, Series 1 is garbage to me. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a good example. Like, Season 4 is absolutely mental. And then Season 1, it's like, it's good, but...
Every show has a bad season. Every show has a season that nobody rewatches, that nobody talks about. And for me, that's Volume 1.
Yeah, Volume 1 is kind of just there.
For a lot of people, it's Volume 4. And I'm like...
I love Volume 4.
Okay, like, it had my favourite fight scene in it, Cory versus Tyrion. I was like, that redeems the entire volume for me. I'm like, that fight scene alone. But it was a good volume, like, just because
it missed out on its potential.
It did.
Then again, you know, I'm not a good judge of character as well, because I thought Episode 8, the Much Needed Talk, was, you know, somehow investing for me, but... You know, whatever.
I mean, it was interesting the first watch, but it's so boring on subsequent watches.
The first watch, it was really interesting, and I was right into it, but the second watch, I was like, I'm bored with this. Can we...
Especially because it's like a 20-minute episode, and it's like, oh shit.
I felt like, though, Volume 5, Chapter 9 was definitely worse than Volume 4, Chapter 8.
It just nothing happened.
That's a bad chapter. And thankfully, so far in Volume 6, there has not been a bad chapter. It hasn't happened yet. But we're only at 7. It could still happen.
I was about to say the closest thing we have is 4, but even then I was like, but that was Neo, so I don't know.
No, not 4. 4 was good. Maybe
yeah, I think
3?
Episode 5 was Neo.
Maybe 3 was the weakest one?
But that was... I guess you're right, that is
having said
the
it
big
was the
story
weakest
dump
one,
episode.
it was still a good episode. I'm not saying it's bad, it's just probably the weakest of the lot so far. But it was following... Oh, no, not 3. 4. I'm talking about 4, sorry. 4 was the weakest one of the lot. 3 was the 25-minute long story time, which was amazing. But 4, I feel like, was the weakest of the lot. Just
but
because...
it still had
was that the one with Neo?
No, Neo was
that
Chapter
wasn't
5.
Neo. Neo was 5.
Neo was
yeah,
5.
you're right.
Yeah.
Season 4 definitely was the weakest.
We had Crow punch, and you know, we had Salem, you know, breaking glass.
It had a lot of good moments in it. It's just that it had, like, following Chapter 3 was never going to be easy for Chapter 4. So I feel like it suffered just because of what it was following. There's nothing wrong with Chapter 4. It was a good, solid chapter. It's just that it was doomed from the start because of what it was supposed to follow, and because the runtime was so short.
It's like it's like putting, I think the first Spider-Man, the Raimi film, right after, I don't know, Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. It's good, but compared...
Yeah, exactly. Hey-o, Chozo! Yeah, so, I mean, there hasn't been a bad chapter so far this volume. No. And in other volumes, there has definitely been an chapter by this point. So, at least one, probably two. In the last couple of chapters, there has been last couple of volumes, there's been an chapter up to this point. Weakest chapter... Chapter 2. I'm sorry, Blue Wolf Alex. You are incorrect, because Chapter 2 is amazing. How dare you? Chapter 4 is the weakest chapter of the volume so far. But Chapter 2,
I think
don't
Chapter
you
2
even dare come for Chapter 2, because it's amazing.
It was so magical.
It was magical, wasn't it? It was magical, and, like, the atmosphere, and, like, it was so... We all knew what was about to come following the next chapter. So it was really, like, it built up a lot of hype, and, like, seeing Jin and, it was such a good chapter.
Cinder, it's a thing that I've noticed about this volume is, apart from the Neo reveal, every little Cinder part we've seen, I felt like, ugh. Like, it's always the weakest part of the episode it's in.
I feel like...
Besides when she fought Neo.
A lot of that is to do with the fact that we're so fucking done with Cinder at this point. We're like, can Cinder just die? Like, can she just not exist anymore?
Why could Downfall be, the fall of Cinder fall? No.
I'm so done with her. She's such a cockroach. Can we squish her already? Like, seriously. I want her gone. I'm sick of her. She's just, I like her character, but I'm so done with her. I'm like, she is yesterday's news. Get her out of here.
I was gonna say, I remember when, Cinder came back and everything, and then there was one comment who was like, "Oh, you're hating on Cinder. Like, how could you?" All of that. This person was basically upset that I was hating on Cinder. I'm like, she killed, should I say, Pyrrha. Like.
Yeah.
There's no redemption from that.
I'm like, this is always my argument for when people are like, oh, stop hating on Cinder, she's not that bad. She killed Pyrrha, you morons!
She nearly killed Weiss.
She nearly killed Weiss, she maimed Weiss, and she killed Pyrrha. How much worse do you want her to get? Like, seriously. Do we? And
I love her character design.
Penny as well. She's indirectly responsible for that. Actually, she's directly responsible for that. Let's put the blame on her shoulders for that as well. Penny, Pyrrha, and Weiss. How much worse do you want her to get? She's a piece of shit and she needs to die.
I like her character design.
I like her character. Jessica Negri's amazing as her. Please get the fuck out of my life. Like, seriously. I'm so beyond done with Cinder. I just need her to just... Because what annoys me the most about Cinder is that she keeps fucking up and not learning from it. She's not learning from any of her mistakes. Because she's so overconfident and she thinks she's top shit now because she's a maiden. But, like, bitch, you are not infallible and somebody is going to beat your ass down and I'm going to enjoy it. Like, I'm so done with her overconfidence and her, like, she just doesn't learn from her mistakes and it's why she will always repeat them. But the trouble is, she's not getting any real consequences from her mistakes because she's still alive. And essentially, she's still a maiden, and, like, the world is still turning for her, so she's not suffering any consequences for her actions. And the ones that she does, she doesn't give a shit, because they're consequences for other people, not for her.
You just hope, though, that, like, when Neo pulls the trigger on her stabbing the back, this will be, I guess, tipping point for Cinder. You just hope, because... everyone's rooting for Neo and, nobody's rooting for Cinder, so it's like, you're just hoping, like, when Neo pulls that trigger, it'll be like, learn, or whatever.
Lord Chozo just said no redemption for Cinder or Adam. Agreed. Almost anyone else could be redeemed, including Salem. I don't know about Salem, because I feel like just because of her very nature makes her irredeemable. I feel like she's just... Because she's part Grimm or whatever she is, she desires destruction. And the fact that she's trying to destroy humanity kind of irredeems her to me. I don't think she can come back from that.
I don't think like if I was trying to destroy humanity, I don't think anyone would see me in good light ever again.
No.
Yeah.
You have a soft spot for Cinder. You have a soft spot for Adam. Ew. That's a patch of quicksand. Yes, it is. Ew. Adam. Okay. Adam's the only character in the entire show I hate more than Raven. And I hate Raven. You guys know that. You know how I feel about Raven, you know how I feel about Adam. I'm not going to crap on about it again. Speaking of Adam, I feel like we might be seeing him very soon.
Yeah, I was literally about to bring that up, because we talked about this last week, I'm pretty sure. But, like, once again, the only reason I can, like, get behind the fact that the Adam character short exists is if it was so that the animators could test out how to animate for Adam, because he's going to be back this volume, because they're going to kill him this volume.
Please. Please off him. Please get rid of him. Look, if neither Cinder or Adam dies in this volume, I'll be pissed off. If one of them dies, I'll be okay. If both of them die, I'll be elated. Like, please. Get rid of them, please!
I don't think we're getting rid of Cinder that easily.
No, but Adam, if Cinder doesn't die, I want Adam to. If Adam doesn't die, I want Cinder to. If neither of them die, I'm writing an angry letter to somebody.
I was going to say, Cinder is like the bad Penny.
Yeah.
So. But I was going to say, with the whole case of Adam and, you know, his status for this, it's like what I've mentioned about Team Junior, when, you know, they spent so long absent from I guess the first half of volume 6. Like, you've just been wondering when are we going to get to them. It's the same case with Adam, because not just what Cory said with the Adam character short, but also the fact that we're still delving into Blake and Yang's issues with seeing the hallucinations of Adam, and you're just wondering, they need to pay that off somehow this volume, otherwise, you know, it's kind of a bit of a, you know, I mean, it's developing on their trauma and all of that, but you just have this feeling it will pay off in this volume somehow.
There's been a lot of Adam talk, but we have yet to see him again this volume, which is interesting.
That's why I'm convinced that will be the episode 9 cliffhanger, will be them, like, showing us Adam in Argus or something.
Adam. Yeah, something to do with
and then they'll be like, you've got to wait a week, tee-hee.
Write an angry letter to Santa. Dear Santa, all I want for Christmas is Adam and Cinder's heads. Like, please. I still maintain that Penny can come back. Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like Penny's definitely going to come back. But, again,
but she will not be the Penny we knew.
We've talked about this before many times, but she's not going to be the same Penny when she does. And I feel like this volume or next volume will be most appropriate for us to see her. I just had a thought that was really random, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I was just like, imagine if the volume ended on, like, a reveal of Penny. I'd be like, why would that happen? But that would be just so cruel if they did that to us.
Volume
like,
5 ended.
You have to wait till next year. Bye.
Volume 5 ended with that shot of Raven and Ty, and, like, that was pointless.
Well, that was after credits scene, to be fair.
Yeah.
I figured that's what you meant.
No, I didn't mean that, but that would make more sense, yeah. Yeah, I did that shot of Raven, like, portaling to Ty really actually annoys me because of where the fandom went with it. I'm like, everybody's freaking out, like, when are we going to see the Raven and Ty scene? Bitch, there isn't one. Let it go. Like, seriously. It's not going to happen.
That ship sailed.
It's just to let us know that that's who she ported to escape. And, like, there was a raven feather and everything. So she's just, like, used him as an scapegoat, essentially. And he narrows his eyes at it because he knows who it is. That's why. So, but, like, Voume was dead and Crow and Yang were both where Raven was already. So the only way she could get out of there is by porting to Ty. There's no Ty and Raven scene. It's not a thing. Darth Penny. Yeah, and the thing about Penny's return is that it will be really bittersweet because I feel like RWBY is going to be so happy to see her and then realize it's not... She doesn't know her or remember her, and she's going to be so crushed. And I'm like, I'm not going to be able to deal with that, with RWBY being... sad about
To this day, Nuts and Bolts is still the only thing I've ever been able to ship RWBY with.
I don't ship RWBY with anybody, but, you know, because she's just too RWBY.
I mean, that's part of my issue, is I'm like, she's too pure, but if she had a robot girlfriend, maybe.
I could get behind that.
Yeah.
They're both so pure, though. They're such cinnamon rolls that I feel like they would just cancel each other out. If the waters of life could take away Salem's desire for destruction, she could be redeemed. I don't know if that's what they would do.
I feel like that is kind of the direction they are going, though. Maybe not necessarily with, like, the waters of life, but, like, the way to defeat Salem is going to be, like, redeeming her, making her realize that, you know, understand the balance of life and death or whatever.
See,
it
was
was that the gods told her.
Salem's destruction lies in eternal imprisonment of some description. Like, just lock her in a steel box and drop it down the edge of the world. Like, she'll never escape. Yes, Cory. What were we talking about before we got on that tangent? Oh,
I don't know.
So predictions for next week.
You've derailed too far.
We derailed way too far. Predictions for next week are, I think we might see Adam next chapter. Just because it's been since chapter 1 since we've seen him, which I am not complaining about. But they do need to show him at some point and show what he's doing, what he's planning. We are definitely going to see him again this volume. So next chapter or the chapter after, I would say.
I mean, he's in the intro as well, and, you know, you're not just going to show, like, oh, Adam's involved, and his only, I guess, legit scene, since we're discounting the hallucinations, being him with that massacre, which I still love to this day, because we didn't get to see it, but you hear the voices, and you just don't need to see it. You just know that Adam caused the right shitstorm, and I doubt that's the only bit of Adam we're going to get for this volume. So yeah, I have a feeling he will return with chapter 9 probably. So
I'm still holding on.
My money on that.
Yeah, I'm holding on to my theory that it's gonna be they're gonna do the Adam reveal at the end of episode 9 and then make us wait 2 weeks for episode 10.
It would make
the most sense. It would, and I would hate them for it.
Oh, yes. We will all hate them for it. Whatever happens in chapter 9, we're going to hate them for it because we will all have to wait 2 weeks.
Wants that. The RWBY wants to feed on that, you know, hate energy.
They do. They don't have the break so they can go home for Christmas. They have it to cause us pain. That's why they have it.
They did last year.
Yeah. It's interesting that the break's after chapter 9 this year, but I feel like they've done that deliberately because they have planned for something big to happen in chapter 9. I feel like they planned the release of the volume kind of around when they want to have their big cliffhanger. Which typically it's in chapter 7, but this year chapter 9 because of the RWBY started much earlier than it usually does. But yeah, and as far as next week is concerned, I feel like it's going to be a lot of them going, well, shit, what do we do now? And either Weiss having to work a Shni magic or Crow having to call in some favors or something. I'm wondering if we might get to see Ironwood in Atlas next episode, because Crow sent him a letter at the start of the volume. Did that letter arrive is the question, and will we get to see Ironwood reading the letter?
It has only been a day since that letter was sent.
That's true.
Yeah.
But how long does it take?
Oh, yeah?
And, like, maybe a few days of time will pass between this chapter and next chapter, or, like, we don't know how long they're going to spend in Argus in story time. So I feel like, though, by chapter 10 we will be leaving Argus and heading towards Atlas. But as for next chapter, I feel like it's going to be a lot of, like, oh shit, what do we do now? And checking in with everyone else. So checking in with Salem, checking in with Cinder and Neo, hopefully.
I don't think we're going to see more of Cinder and Neo after we saw him last episode.
But what we saw was so little. That's the thing. I'm like...
Yeah, but, like, what would be the point of showing us more? Like, they don't really need to show us them again until they get to Argus.
Yeah, I mean, because they've only got one kind of objective, and now that they kind of made their deal, I mean, I doubt Cinder and Neo are gonna, you know, drink tea and all of that, and, you know, they're fixated on bringing down RWBY. It's what they've always been fixated on, with Cinder even trying to, steer, it's RWBY you should be after, not me, and all of that. So there's a fixation on bringing down RWBY. So yeah, I can see, not seeing them until, they try to bump into RWBY being their next scene.
Was the letter on the train RWBY Junior Co. were on? That's a great acronym for the team, but RWBY Junior Co. No, I don't think so, because Crow dropped it in a post box right before they left, so I doubt that would be on the same train. And if it's going to Atlas, it would likely go onto an airship, not a train. So, that's the thing. Can they even send letters between kingdoms right now, especially to Atlas? Because Atlas's borders are closed. They're not going to let a mail plane in, surely.
Well, the other thing I was wondering is, I was like, well, maybe that thing was like less of a letterbox and more of like a fax machine.
I don't know why he doesn't just call him, but I guess he can't.
Well,
the CCTV.
Yeah, he can't. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I hope we get more talks, that either RWBY fills in Junior on what happened.
I can't believe we're actually saying this. I just want more interpersonal talks. People hate it, but I thrive on it.
Yeah, I'm just wondering when Team Junior are going to learn all the juice regarding Ozpin and Salem and everything, because
shit, yeah, we've
got that intro of Jean pinning Oscar to the wall.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and B, I'm just reflecting on the fact that Nora's so happy to see Oscar, but she's not going to be happy once everything comes out, because that's going to take a bit of a dark turn. So I do hope we kind of shed some light on Team Junior regarding the whole so Ozpin and Salem, yeah, they kind of had a past, so yeah,
they were kind of married.
I'm changing my prediction because I completely forgot about this. So yeah, Junior's gonna find out about that next chapter, probably. We're gonna have John getting pissed off at Ozpin, and then now I'm feeling like the chapter's gonna have more of a darker vibe to it, especially after how happy and cheerful this chapter was, except for the beginning. The beginning was not. But yeah, I completely forgot all about that. Yeah, so I think that's going to be happening in Chapter 8, and we'll be checking in with Salem, perhaps, as well. Yeah, don't know about Adam, though. I think...
Hopefully she hasn't cut herself picking up the glass she shattered in the room. Someone's got to clean all that up, and it's, not going to be
she'd be the best person. She can't die, so,
Oh.
Let me just take armfuls of this stuff and dump it out the window. Yes, of course we have avoided the preview. Yeah, we're reactors, so we're not going to watch it.
The preview doesn't exist for me.
No.
What preview?
What?
I saw one picture. I always get the thumbnail is all I ever see.
I haven't seen anything yet, knock on wood, but I'm going to. I always get spoiled with something, so...
But honestly, the thing because the preview for Chapter 7 was literally just the first scene of this episode.
Yeah.
So it was I feel like they've been picking previews that aren't spoilery, but the thing that annoyed us about last week was that then there was also the Entertainment Weekly thing that was
it was everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. It was unavoidable.
Weekly?
Liam, did you not see this?
No.
I was
lucky mainly...
because everybody saw it.
My head was literally on fire last week, so I might have been a bit lucky. So
Entertainment Weekly released a preview of the Maria Calavera flashback on their site, and everybody saw it. It was everywhere. It was unavoidable, so we all got spoiled for that. Yeah, which is a huge thing for us to get spoiled for, so we were understandably annoyed. But so far, so good this chapter. I'm gonna do my best.
I already have Rooster Teeth and all the people I need to be muted
until tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah. So yeah, that's my prediction for next chapter. Is we'll get Jean getting angry at Oz because everybody's gonna find out about his big dirty secret. Except that Oz isn't there right now, So, Oz can't come to the phone right now. Sorry. He's got to come
Why?
back at some
'Cause
point.
he's dead.
Yeah, well, that's the reference I was making, but I wasn't going to go all the way with it, and then you just did.
I decided to go all the way with it because screw that.
I have a feeling John's just going to be like, Oz, show your face and all of that.
I know, that's why he's pinning Oscar to
That's
the wall.
why
He's
he's doing it, yeah.
Oscar!
RWBY's going to be the one to be like, John, oh my god, calm down. It's like, leave Oscar alone. Leave Brittany alone. There's a fucking throwback and a half. Your headphones nearly fell off. It looked like your headphones almost fell off there. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, that's my prediction for next chapter. I also am how long was this chapter? 16 and a half minutes? Something like that?
I feel like the next episode will probably be like 14, 15.
Yeah, a bit shorter, I think. Yeah. There's probably not going to be a whole lot of substance to the next chapter.
Although actually, I could see them doing maybe a 12, 13-minute episode this time, so they could do like an 18-minute episode next time.
I hope it doesn't go that
for chapter 9.
I don't so far we haven't gone below 15 minutes. I don't think so. Let's keep that going. Let's not go below 15 minutes. Because it's just too short. Nothing happens in an episode that's less than 15 minutes long. Yeah. So, I reckon we're about ready to wrap up here. 2.5 hours. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Liam, for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you. If you want to find Liam,
Same.
There is his YouTube and his Twitter and his social medias and whatnot.
Yay.
Again, everyone's reactions will be out tomorrow. Tomorrow morning. Yeah, what am I talking about?
Yeah. Mine is unblocked. I checked.
I don't know if mine is. I'm gonna check right now.
I mean, you and I uploaded ours simultaneously, so you're.
I uploaded mine a good 8 hours after you, so I'm not sure. I'm just gonna double check.
I mean, I'm not complaining, but mine is like. YouTube never checked my videos. Like, it's always unblocked, so...
Oh, yours never get blocked?
Do yours don't get blocked? Really?
No, never. It's been this case ever since chapter 1. It's even my Camp videos have not been affected.
Oh, really? So... People have so many issues with Camp.
Not me. Like, I've got some kind of, like, voodoo magic or something like that on my channel or something. Yeah.
You are so lucky you don't have to deal with this dispute process, let me tell you, because it's a fucking nightmare.
I mean, it kind of balances out with, Warner Brothers, claiming and blocking my videos, because I got, like, a block today from a video I did, 3 years ago, and I'm like, Jesus.
I have lately been getting loads of random blocks on very, very old videos, and I'm like, not blocks, copyright claims, and I'm like, really? Now? You wanna copyright claim this video I uploaded 4 years ago that has 100 views? Okay, sure. You're not gonna get any money off of that, let me tell you. Mine is unblocked, yes. Good. Awesome.
Okay, so, everybody's reactions will be out tomorrow.
Yay!
Yes, everybody's reactions will be out tomorrow, so make sure you check out everybody's social media. I forgot what the command was. Hang on, let me just find it really quick. Where's the command? Here it is. Twitter. So obviously we'll announce on our Twitters when everybody's oh, that's the wrong YouTube channel. Never mind, ignore that one. When everybody's
what are commands?
Reactions go up, so make sure you go subscribe to everyone's YouTube. That's the wrong YouTube channel for me. It's my other one. And yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you again to Liam for being here. It's been a pleasure having you.
Hey.
And we will see you tomorrow for our reactions, and next week to talk about Chapter 8. Yeah. Okay. Goodbye, everybody. I don't remember how to do this. Bye.
Bye.